Welcome on the AM News. Let's quickly get into our first story. Barely 3 months after Joy News aired the One District, Some Factories hotline documentary, government has started rolling out interventions aimed at resolving the challenges bedeviling the policy. One of the factories that was badly affected was the APEB Cylinder Manufacturing Company Limited, located at Ewutubreku. Now, over 200,000 cylinders were locked up at the factory because the company was facing an unhealthy competition from a foreign company. The producer of the documentary, Richard Kwejunyako, went back to the factory to find out what had changed. Here's what he found.
And so now, if you come to our factory, you'll be shocked. We are now getting to almost close to 200,000 cylinders. We cannot send one out because of what these guys are doing. These Chinese, they just came in, took over the market, cut the price down, and probably they are doing this for some time. So they realize that the Ghanaian factories have died down.
This was the situation with the APEB Cylinder Manufacturing Company, one of the companies under government One District, One Factory located at Ewutubreku. The company was limping badly, and the thought of shutting it down became very imminent.
China developed their country, they blocked everybody, and they developed their country. Deliberate policies, protecting themselves and making sure they got to where they are. Now they are rich and they are now hitting us.
The chief executive of the company was distraught, broken, and felt all hope was lost. But today, the narrative has changed.
So it's been 3 months after Joy News premiered our hotline documentary, One District, Some Factories. We are back here at the APEB Gas Cylinder Manufacturing Company here at Ewutubreku.
Following your documentary recently on the challenges that we're faced with, by the grace of God, as we speak, our stock levels have gone down. The markets have started responding. Your documentary got the government to take some actions, and as we speak, now the pricing levels have come to a normal level, and so we are all playing in the field. They are still in the markets. We are competing, but this is what we expected competition should be all about. Not for somebody to be unduly be taking advantage. So we are grateful to you and also grateful to the government for taking these immediate steps and bringing us back to life.
The workers are busy putting metals on metals to produce the cylinders. The CEO, Philip Asifo, couldn't thank Joy News enough for producing the documentary that has changed a situation that affected the economies of the local community and the businesses of many.
The information I got was that the president himself saw the documentary and he wasn't happy at all about what he saw. So immediately he tasked some officials in government to ensure that the issues are resolved. And as we speak, not completely resolved, but at least to the extent that we are now able to enter the market and do our business, I think we are on course. They've also lined up a number of things they are working on our behalf. We hope everything will actually materialize. So I think so far the documentary has really sparked a very good reaction on our behalf.
The intervention by government is like a pain relief to them.
The government made some actions that were taken, some decisions that were taken that has somehow brought down the behavior or the misbehavior of these, if I should put in a better way, some form of invaders who attempted to destroy the market. Before the documentary, there were some initiatives, there were some actions that the government had started, but immediately you aired the documentary, as a matter of fact, we saw some speed. We saw some direct interventions. As we speak, government is even making it possible for us to get some off-taker from government, also to sort of boost our supply. So these are efforts that are coming as a result of your initiative, your documentary. And I think we would appreciate that.
The workers the company contemplated laying off are now back in business. The stocks level has gone down, and the company is thinking of expansion.
My brother Richard, it's not just us a PEP, but we must also at least congratulate you for what you did. At least at the end of the day, your work has also sparked these reactions. Today, the company is now working. And so by the grace of God, all these our workers are also, actively doing something. This is what we want. So what you did has now brought back the workers. At least is now keeping people fed in their homes. That is the kind of work you have done. That is the extent of what you have done. The number of workers almost close to getting to 250 workers. Now we are even now moving to the level of expansion. As we speak, we have other arrangements to move to other areas. So that should tell you the effects of what we have done. We thank you for that also. We thank the government for the intervention, but most especially your intervention has actually brought about a lot.
Joy News has been exploring other interventions government has put in place to bring the dead factories and the government 1D, 1F back to life. For Joy News, Richard Kwejunyakon report.
Let's head up north now to the Savannah region, where 3 weeks after the conflict between Gonjas and Mamprusis in Lukula in the North Gonja district of the Savannah region, which led to the death of one person and the burning of several houses and property, residents have begun to return to the community. The one-time busy town is now very silent, with people grouped under trees, minding their business. Business such as selling and buying, as well as tailoring, have all been brought to a halt. The people appealed to government to intervene to bring lasting peace to the area. Joy News' Savannah regional correspondent Isaac Nonya was in the community and came through with this report.
Residents of the Lukula community have returned after fleeing a conflict there 3 weeks ago. The community looks broken. Groups of people are seen gathered under trees in the community discussing their fate. Farmers in this community say despite the fact that they have invested more in their farms, they cannot go for fear of being attacked and have thus left the farms at the mercy of grazing cattle. Madam Nachna Sarah is one of the residents here.
Look at some of them, they are sewing machines. Those who struggle and go to Cairo to get money to come and also learn something, so that they will also be self-independent. Everything, the stores, and the women, look at the children. Even up to now that we are standing, it's not all the children and the women that are here. We don't know where some of them they are whereabouts. And those who have even returned, yesterday it was like a funeral endeavor. Everybody, they were just crying.
She says the conflict has had negative impact on the members of the Lukula community.
Because their clothing, bowls, what and what, everything is condemned. They don't have anything. Even they share they share fruit that they pick. This is the season. Even everything burned into ashes. Nothing. Their foodstuffs, ingredients, everything, nothing. They don't have anything again. Because when they just came and it was just like a surprise to them. So when they were running and everywhere shooting boom boom, you are even trying to escape and save your life. How can you even have time with these children? How can you run with these children?
Another resident, Abdul Rahman Yakubu, says many of the victims were still living in the bushes without water and food. We are farmers here, but they have burnt everything belonging to us. Our houses, our cutlasses, our women's pots, which they use to fetch water. We want to appeal to the government, stakeholders, and chief to come to our aid. With the little that we were able to farm this season, the cattle have destroyed everything. We have lost everything. The dresses we are wearing now are what we were left with. Shaibu Isahaku is an opinion leader of the Lukula community. He blames the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, for failing to visit the community since the conflict broke out.
NADMO has never been here before, even when it happened in 2019. Something ever happened in 2019. No NADMO officer came here to sympathize us.
Madam Nachina Sarah appealed to the government to speed up the demarcation of the boundary between the two traditional areas to bring lasting peace.
So, on the behalf of the women, what I want to tell the government is that they should come to our aid and help us. And the most important thing is our distance, the demarcation of the land, because this thing is not the first time that it has happened. So even if all this help has come without the demarcation, if they give us help, one day they'll come and spoil it again. They'll come and destroy everything again. This time that we are even lucky that it's only our father, our clan head that we lost. No? We don't know what will happen next time. So we are begging and pleading to the government, to the local government and the chiefs. They should all come to our aid so that the demarcation will take place and everybody will have the.
They can only hope for the better. For Joy News, Isaac Monya's report. Right.
Let's stay in the Northern Belt. Access to primary healthcare in the 5 northern regions of Ghana has improved from 40% in 2017 to 85% at the end of the first quarter of 2023. Government says the improvement is in line with its goal of attaining universal health coverage. At the final dissemination forum between the Ghana Health Service and the Japan International Cooperation Agency in Accra, the Upper West Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Damien Punguire, attributed the jump to an enhanced capacity of community health workers, but maintained the exodus of health workers remains a challenge. My colleague, Carlos Caloni, has more.
To fast-track universal health coverage, the Ministry of Health commenced the Strengthening Health Systems program through the Organization of Communities project in 2017 with the support from the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, in the 5 northern regions of Ghana. 6 years on, access to healthcare gap has jumped from 40% in 2017 to 85% in 2023. The number of trained community healthcare professionals also witnessed an increase from 574 in 2017 to 1,706 at the end of first quarter of 2023, representing a net gain of 1,132. Revealing this to Joy News at the final dissemination forum between the Ghana Health Service and JICA in Accra, the Upper West Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Damien Punguire, called for sustainability in the gains made so far.
We were around 40% in 2017. As at the end of the first quarter in 2023, we are currently around 85%. That is a remarkable improvement over where we came from. In terms of human resource capacity for service delivery, at the beginning we had 574 community health officers. We are dealing with about 1,706 CHOs who have been trained for the interventions of this program.
In spite of these gains, Dr. Punguire lamented the exodus of health professionals as a major challenge hampering the attainment of the universal health coverage in the regions.
It has to do with better conditions elsewhere. You know, after the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of them are moving to UK, US, you know, for better opportunities. Others are also living down south because those areas have at least better schools and access to social amenities. So there is internal exodus and then external exodus.
Deputy Minister of Health Asesini said the Chiefs Compound concept would be scaled up to ensure improved retention of health workers.
But the ministry is trying to develop incentives that will let the nurses stay there and work. And with this JACA issue, we are now going to scale it up so that they can provide some basic logistics at areas where they put the chief commands there. So we are trying to make sure that apart from building the structures, also make sure that the people who work within the structures should be well accommodated, given all the necessary amenities, and all the necessary logistics and medicine should be available.
On her part, the Chief Representative Officer of JICA in Ghana, Momoko Suzuki, noted the agency will continue its collaboration with the government of Ghana to help improve retention of health workers.
Well, I think all the stakeholders understand the challenge, and also the GHS sees the challenges. And I think it's something that also the Ghanaian side has to think about how we can retain the staffs in the communities, in the villages. So in the next project, we'll be having an advisor, but we will think together on how we can solve this big challenge.
So even though successes have been chalked in the 5 northern regions, there still remain challenges that the government should consider to close in terms of exodus of health professionals up north. Reporting from the forum here in Accra, my name is Carlos Kaloni for Joy News.
Now, the Par Grant roundabout in Takoradi is named after one of Ghana's founding fathers, George Par Grant, the timber merchant from the western region who paid for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah to travel down to Ghana from abroad to lead Ghana's fight towards independence. Today, a place that bears his name has been abandoned by the government, and deeper potholes have taken over the area, causing huge traffic in rush hours in Takoradi. Samuel Kojo-Brace traveled to Takoradi and came through with this report.
The potholes have been developed in the southern part of Runabout and northern part of Runabout are being developed. So we are waiting for eastern part of the Runabout to develop, which I think that it's a serious thing that we ought to look at. Unfortunately, we can't tie the reason why we can't do this route to Russian and Ukraine war and COVID. We can only tie it to the fact that it's a critical route that needs to be maintained.
That's Charles Mintaba, a social commentator in the Western region, lamenting how deplorable the Par Grant roundabout is currently.
This route is critically important, as I cited. As we stand here, if you want to go to any part of the city, you can go, because all roads coming from any part of the city, New Takoradi, Sekendi, Vodafone, ECG, Town, link up to the Par Grants. So that is why I think that it is so critical that we cannot waste time. We have to forgo other areas and ensure that this is fixed concerning the critical nature of this route.
The Par Grant roundabout is a very critical route in the Sekendi Takoradi metropolis. It connects most part of the city to the Takoradi harbour, 2 important hospitals, the Gapoa and European hospitals. It also connects the ECG regional office, the GMPC operational headquarters, GASEM, and the main market centre, among several other important places in the metropolis. The sad story, however, is that the stretch is riddled with potholes. This hole was once small, but it was ignored for several months and has now widened into a huge one, best described as a king-sized bed capable of accommodating more than 2 adults. There is even one that has deepened and collects so much when it rains that it looks more like a swimming pool.
So this is the Par Grant roundabout here in the Sekendi Takoradi metropolis, named after one of Ghana's founding fathers, Par Grant, George Par Grant. But as we speak, how do we as a country intend to honor his memory? What we've decided to do is to honor him with potholes. Like you see behind me,
several potholes surround this roundabout. So, in our estimation, the best way to honor someone who did his best for this country, Ghana, is to rather allow potholes to build up around a place we named after him.
Charles Mintaba is not happy.
So let's assume that Parkland was seated here alive. Will we allow this road to deteriorate to this state? There are people who will not want to pass here just because of the state of this road. So if we named this place after Parkland, and the actions and inactions of city authorities have gotten to a state that we cannot work on it, and people who would have passed here to honor Parkland don't pass here, what have we done to Parkland? And for me as a resident, that is what goes through my mind. We stood here just for the past 1 hour. You realize that there are some big trucks that they had to tow off from this place because of the deteriorating nature of the road. It has gotten it has gotten to a state that when it rains and you are in town, you have to decide to change your routes. Because if you don't take time, you may lock up here.
He wonders why authorities have allowed the Parkland runabout to deteriorate to this level.
Because the money involved in fixing this road, I don't think that it is something that some individuals cannot do. But we are in a country that when you have your money to come and fix the road, they will tell you that city planners will have to. So what at all is the problem that city planners cannot fix now? Knowing the critical nature this road is. If you are coming from Sekendi, you have to use this route. If you are coming from Beach Road, ECG, GSTS road, you have to use this road. If you are coming from Ghana Telecom, you have to use this road. If you are coming from town, Market Circle, you have to use this road. If you are coming from New Takoradi, you have to use this road. So the question is that the critical nature of this route should not have pot wells develop around a prominent person who we name after him, Parkland. And that is why I think that it is a state of emergency.
Driver John supplies mineral water in the metropolis. He says it is sad that all the officials of the region use this stretch but have looked on unconcerned.
We have complained about the potholes several times, but nothing is done about it. If some of my load had not been bought, all of it would have poured onto the road now. Meanwhile, we pay tax. The regional minister, the MPs, and other big officials use this road daily, but they seem not to care. We are really suffering, buying spare parts, especially our ball joints.
To protect their vehicles from slumping into potholes, some drivers have now resorted to climbing into the perimeter of the roundabout, destroying the curbs.
Boss.
Being in Sekendi, Takoradi, the capital of the region, yet look at the state of our road. Is it good? This is a disgrace. It must be fixed.
We are really suffering. When you move a little, your car scratches the surface of the road because of the potholes. The last time, my friend before.
To Charles Mintaba, the city authorities must act quickly to get this fixed.
So I appeal to city planners, urban routes, the regional minister and the metro chief executive that this is beyond where we have to allow you to consider the critical nature and why this place was named after a very important person. For Ghana's independence cannot be discussed unless it is linked up to Parkland. And Parkland roundabout cannot be discussed unless it's linked up to the major roads of this city. That is the need where there's an emergency, there's a need for us to work on it.
When will authorities intervene and solve these challenges? Your guess is as good as mine. From the roundabout, the Parkland roundabout in Sekendi, Takoradi, for Joy News, I am Samuel Kojo Brace.
A rather deplorable and sad state on which to cap off the news, but that's how we wrap it up. Do stay with us. We have more action coming your way via the news review. We'll be right back. Hello, good morning. Welcome on the news review belt of the AM show. And joining us for that conversation, we have energy analyst Kojo Poku. I'll be letting him in on the conversation shortly. But as I always say, especially ahead of Father's Day, you know what to do. Take care of yourself. Yeah? Take care of yourself. You are the only temple that God has, at least as far as you are concerned. So take care of this temple. It is the only body you'll have in the course of your life. And that's why I'd like to introduce you to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Okay? They are offering, if you're a man, fertility. Okay, so if you're a man, prostate screening for free. Today I was going the way of the women. If you're a man, prostate screening for free, gratis. If you're a woman, fertility screening. Do you know your status in terms of fertility? Do you know whether you have any fibroids or anything growing in there that could impede your fertility? Do you know whether, have you taken stock of your menstrual flow and all of that? And if you're missing them, are you taking them for granted? All of these are crucial, which is why you shouldn't take them for granted and cry later when you could have prevented them now. So here's where you can locate Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Here in Accra, they are at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. They are in Kumasi, Kronum Abuehia, behind the Angel Educational Complex. If you want to go to Takoradi or you find yourself there, as Kojo Brace, my colleague, was, they are in Anaje State, Tema Community 22. There's also Techiman Hanswa and Esiama in Zima. Now, to reach them via phone, these are the numbers to call. 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease, bringing us to the start of the news review. Mr. Poku, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
I am very well. I think that we should do it properly. Kojo and Safwa Poku. You hold the keys, right?
Yes, in Safwa.
Aha. I should start calling you MK, Mr. Keys. All right, so tell me, just to kickstart the conversation, I would like to find out a few things from you. For example, Agenda 111. Professor Benka, he's a renowned, health professional, says it's not realistic, it's not feasible to procure 111 hospital facilities. We're going to end up abandoning a lot of them. We're going to end up with a lot of these projects not delivering value for money. And so we should prioritize rather than go full Monty, full scale, 111. That conversation is there. Yesterday when I had Paul Gray-Boachidankwa, government's spokesperson on governance and security here, he felt, no, that is not the way to go. But we've seen it too many times, haven't we? There are so many developments on the economic front as well. Inflation is ticking up again, and I have my heart in my belly, so to speak. It's in my mouth and in my belly, I should say, because we're already feeling the pinch on so many fronts. The CD's stabilization hasn't taken place on the back of the IMF program. And food items and all of that, food items actually led to the spike. Things are pretty expensive. So for inflation to be going up again, that's a bit of a worry. I'm still forking out quite a lot of money to purchase fuel, just to pay for utilities. Utility tariffs are up. Talk about all of these issues. What are your thoughts on them? And when you're done, you can also share with us what you've been up to on the campaign trail, or you could start with that. What you've been up to on the campaign trail in your bid to be flag bearer of the MPP, before we get into the newspapers.
Well, good morning, Ben. As you can see, I don't have the lovely yellow background that I normally have when I talk to you.
So you're out and about, I can guess.
I'm in Kumasi. I have a few rounds in Ashanti region that I need to conclude. So I'll be here till Sunday. So it's going very well. I plan to submit my forms on Tuesday. That can still change. We've done with all the endorsement. A good big thank you to all the KMP reps and supporters around the country who came in their numbers to endorse the form that was sent to them. It's a good thing that we've done the 16 regions in record time. After I leave Kumasi on Sunday, then I'll decide when I submit the form. But it's been going very well. To your question of the economic front and Agenda 111, Ben, you can play multiple interviews between me and you where I have stated categorically that the Agenda 111 for me should be shelved, because you cannot build 101 hospitals when the existing ones are ill-equipped. Some hospitals don't have water. Some hospitals don't have generators. Some hospitals don't even have incubators. Some hospitals don't have E&T. Some hospitals don't have children's ward. Some hospitals don't have well-equipped theaters. Look, the list goes on and on and on. And unless you are able to fully equip and solve the existing problems in health, you cannot move on to building 101 hospitals, because what you're doing is that you are going to replicate the existing problems in 101 hospitals. I have always said that in the past, we had three issues when it comes to health: affordability, accessibility, and quality of service. So healthcare has to be accessible, healthcare has to be affordable, and healthcare has to be what? You need to have a quality of service. President J. Kufuor did the affordability, and then he did the national health insurance to bring about affordability. Now, what Nanado is trying to do is the accessibility. But for me, you need to now have the quality of service, because there's no point having beautiful edifices that are death traps. I've said this on your show before. In Kumasi, the weekend when my mom was unwell, I called a friend of mine and said, look, my mom is not well. He said, look, I want to advise you to take her to Kompanochi on weekend, because there will be no senior person there. You only find junior doctors. And I don't think any senior doctor will come in until Monday. Why? So we need to fix the existing problem. And one of the solutions that I have proposed is that government can no longer run healthcare because it's too expensive, and we do not have the money to do it. So we should go the UK route and have trust. So each region will have a trust, and the trust will be all the hospitals in the region will belong to the trust, and private sector investment can now buy into the trust and run the hospitals for profit. Hospitals are not social activities. Hospital is supposed to be a profit venture. All private hospitals make profit. I don't see why government hospitals should run at a loss and be degraded the way they are. So look, government can no longer run healthcare. We've gone to the point there where we think that, look, we need private sector investment through trust. And all this expansion of hospitals should be made by the private sector, not the government using our scarce resources. You are right to say that, look, we are not out of the woods yet, because inflation has gone up again. The stabilization of the currency is not so well. From what COPEC is saying, fuel might go up a little slightly in the coming window. I have said, and again and again and again, that IMF is just the Imodium for our diarrhea. I have not heard any antibiotics prescribed by the government. What will take us to recovery? I have not heard that from government. And it's unfortunate when somebody now travels and go and say that the economy is back. Back where? You went to IMF about a month ago, and all of a sudden you are doing conferences in the UK telling investors that your economy is back. I was very surprised when we had over 100 CEOs travel to the UK to go and tell investors what? They know more about your economy than you do. So what are you going to tell them that they don't know? And we went and spent money causing financial loss to the state to go and do a conference in the UK to tell investment that the economy is back. I'm sorry, the economy is not back. We cannot run this economy through propaganda. And that is where, for me, I depart with all politics.
All right. Thank you for sharing those initial thoughts. Let's get into the papers now and find out what they have to share with us. The Daily Guide this morning. Pay or take PPAs cruel. That's according to the majority. Yesterday on the floor of Parliament, there was a lot of talk about this, but the NDC, the minority, has come out to debunk some of those claims. Kojo, we had that conversation only a few days ago, and the reflections from different people on the energy train saying, look, What would you have done? What would have been the alternative? It was the way to go. You said it was the way to go. Maybe the cost issues. But I'll leave you to determine what your take is, whether it has shifted, whether you support the majority in Parliament. The interesting thing, though, like you heard that day on the conversation, the IPPs require $450 million to stay afloat. We owe them about $1.5 billion. We will need other IPPs on board because our energy generation has gone up. Our energy requirements or needs have gone up, and we'll need to meet that need. And doing so is a viable threat, like we discussed. I'm just rehashing what we said the other day. This one, D-Day for Aisha Huang. And there's also 3 children burned to death. This country of ours. On the back page, Stars morale very good. And Ghana coach Chris Hughton has praised the side for demonstrating high spirits in the camp. The coach has since early this week supervised the team's preparations in Accra for the upcoming game against Madagascar in their 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. There are some who have said that, look, since 1982, I don't know how many people even remember or were alive when we won our last trophy. And till today, we've come close. We've gone to finals, semi-finals, quarterfinals. We've never made it. What is happening? Is Chris Hughton the man to get us back? Real grabbed Bellingham for £88.5 million. And Real Madrid has completed the signing of England midfielder Jude Bellingham from Borussia Dortmund on a 6-year deal. And they did boost for All-Star Festival. Today I'm starting with sports. But then we get into the main stories. D-Day for Aisha Huang, and Accra High Court will today decide whether the prosecution has proven its case against Galamsey Queen and Huang, popularly known as Aisha Huang, to warrant her opening her defense in the trial in which she is facing illegal mining charges. Now, Aisha Huang, who has already been convicted for illegally re-entering Ghana following her deportation in 2018, would be ordered by the court to open her defense if the court presided over by Justice Lydia Osei-Marfo finds that the prosecution has made a prima facie case against her. Her conviction for the immigration offense followed the decision by the accused to change her initial not guilty plea to guilty as part of a plea bargaining agreement with the Office of the Attorney General. Let me just add that pay or take story and allow you to go ahead. So members of the Majority Caucus on the Mines and Energy Committee described the National Democratic Congress government's power purchase agreement signed in the run-up to the 2016 elections as unconscionable and cruel. According to them, poor leadership and lack of foresight by the previous administration contributed to the signing of overcapacity electrical generation, weakened sector planning, and mounting debt, putting immense financial strain on the country. There's a quote here. We couldn't see that we were going to have a situation like that. Were we sleeping on the job? But you know what's interesting? All of these agreements were approved by consensus by the majority, the minority side then, which is the majority side now. They approved all of them by consensus. So if they ask whether they were sleeping on the job, I would also like to throw it to the majority now. Were you sleeping on the job too? You accepted them.
Yeah, very much so. You're right.
Were you sleeping on? If they were sleeping on the job, were you sleeping on the job too? Go ahead, Kojo.
Right. So, Ben, well, you're right to ask that question. And I have always said that, look, when it comes to the energy sector, the parliamentarians don't help us that much. The committee meetings, I had a privilege to go to the only one, and I keep talking about that one, which I went to, which was chaired by Dr. Osesibe, then who's the chairperson of both the Joint Finance and Energy. And I wasn't impressed with the way the committee went. And mostly, when you see committee reports that is sent to the plenary, it is mostly the memo that is sent from the ministry to the committee. It's a cut and paste. So a committee report is supposed to be the deliberation that happened at the committee. But if you have time, take most of the committee reports that go to the plenary. It's a cut and paste of the committee, the memo that was brought to them. They cut and paste that and basically add comments at the end and send it to the plenary. It doesn't reflect the committee deliberation.
Kojo, I am losing your sound just for a few seconds. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's from your end or my end, but I can't hear you so well. Let's try this again. Please go back a bit and start.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so what I was saying is that, so the committee reports that go from the committees to the plenary is normally a cut and paste of the memo that is sent to them from the ministry. Now, you are right to say that were they sleeping on the job? Look, my question to them was that what would they have done differently? If they say that in 2012, they were in opposition, they were in the majority, and they were confronted with the situation we had in 2012 to 2014, what would they have done differently? Today, they are in majority, and we say that the government policy is that we don't do take or pay, it's take and pay, right? That's not true, because there is AXA. What they have recently given them a PPA, and there is a 40% take or pay in that AXA PPA. So what do they say about that? So if you see, look, and I blame the journalists in Parliament. They should be able to research and ask them these questions. Because, look, if I was in front of them, will ask them that, okay, what would you have done differently at that time? Tell us what you do differently. Because what the take or pay is that a lot of people don't seem to understand. It's a guarantee. I am coming to invest in your country. I'm going to spend $400 million to put up a power plant. I need a guarantee that when I put up plant, if you don't use it, at least you will pay me my capacity charges, which is the investment that I have made. I will get some of it back. Now, those companies that today have the take or pay in their contracts are owed $1.5 billion. So imagine that if you were able to put a plant and you do not have any guarantee, which bank will give you money to invest? And no company has their own money to put up $300-400 million. You need to go for financing. And the first thing the financier will ask you is that, where is the guarantee that if I give you $300 million and you put a plant in, at least every month you'll be giving something to repay your indebtedness? Without that, nobody will finance your plant. And that is why today, the AXA plant, though it is here, we still gave them 40% take or pay. So please, look, let's stop this politics with the take or pay is cruel. For me, like I said to you the last time, under the circumstances of what we find ourselves at that time, we could not have built any power plant without the take or pay. Where the NDC got it wrong is the amount of PPAs that they signed. Look, as at 2016, the NDC have signed over 10,000 megawatts, which was too much. So I agree with the sleeping on the job part for the too many PPAs that they signed for over 10,000 megawatts of power. But I don't agree that they were sleeping on the job when both of them agreed that there's a need to put in a put-call option, which is the take-or-pay guarantee for investors to come in. Today, we are still giving guarantees for investors to come in. Without that, no investor will come in. So please, let's put that one to the side. The issue of the D-Day for Aisha 1. And look, I think that sometimes lawyers some lawyers think that the court is theater. Okay, they go there to play a game and play an act. Aisha 1, how can he not open his case? And then you submit a case whereby you think that you do not have to open the defense. The lady is in the country illegally for nothing at all. She's here. Somebody that supposedly was deported found her way back in the country, went to one of our centers to procure an ID card fraudulently. That alone is a conviction. I don't know where she will now go and say not guilty. Not guilty to what? So look, again, we take too much time to waste the court's time to basically prolong some of these things. I have always said that criminal cases should not take more than 2 years. Aisha 1's case shouldn't have taken 3 months for either deport her, jail her, or whatever. It's taking too long, right? So the court, we have a new CJ now. My plea to the lady, her lordship, Tokunu, is that Please, we need a fast track. President Kufuor bring a fast track court. Today, the fast track court has become a slow court. Cases are taking too long. Judges are not sitting. Judges have traveled. The judge is going to Takoradi. The judge will not sit today. Lawyers getting a date because they are not too well. There is too much theater going on in the court. We need a look. Justice denied. Justice delayed is justice denied. And that's where I end with that one. You want us to talk about the Black Star. If Chris Hughton will do well in Black Star, the GFA has to back off. If GFA back off and leave him to run the Black Star, we will do very well. I don't know whether it's true or it's just hearsay, but there are stories where people are paid to appear in the Black Star. If it's true, that should stop. Because you heard the story of Mbappe, where supposedly Mbappe's father was on the news or social media saying that Mbappe wants to play for Cameroon, and they demanded some money, so Mbappe now played for France.
Yeah,
I don't know how far that story
I've heard that story. I've heard that story.
So that goes to tell you, look, most parents who left Ghana in Germany, in Holland, in Europe, there are a lot of talent in Europe for Ghanaians because most of the parents in Europe got their kids to play football, and there are some good talent. But the parents do not want to go through the politics of GFA. You have to pay, you have to do this. And people now do this showcasing of players so that they could sell them into other teams and stuff like that. All that has to stop. If Chris Hughton is to deliver as a cap. Until that, I don't know when we'll win another Black Star trophy.
Alrighty, let's get into some other stories. There's this thought here on page 4. Don't abolish hard copy textbooks. That's publishers. You know about the talk recently about laptops with textbooks on them. Sometimes
that is propaganda. That can never happen. Please, let's stop that conversation. How can it?
Oh, it is propaganda.
Of course, even in the most advanced nation in the world, the United States of America, Sweden, Norway, and all those countries, they still use textbooks. How are you going to do in a country like Ghana, where most places don't have lights? How are you going to do only textbooks on laptops?
But they gave laptops to teachers. Willy-nilly, whether you like it or not. There were agreements and they gave them to them. So what makes you think they can't do it here? And they'll tell you it's all in the digital drive, to ensure that everything goes digital.
I think that story needs to be corrected. I think when I heard from government is that it was not just to give laptops. Laptops will be given with textbooks. I can't phantom anybody coming out to say that government is only going to give children laptops. It's not possible. Okay, so I think that it was a miscommunication or propaganda by some people. There's no way education system can just run on laptops. So what I heard from the government was that government was going to give laptop plus textbooks, not just laptops. That's why I said it's propaganda.
Okay, all right. But the vice president himself, if you're quoting what he said, I don't know whether you'd still call it propaganda, unless he was misconstrued. But anyway,
well, in most times, you realize that the things that the vice president says, you have people that will come and tell you what he really meant. And we've had that with Gold for Oil. We've had that with quite a number of things. A lot of time, the things he say, people will come and clarify it. So I'm clarifying it for you. That statement is that the laptops will come with textbooks. It's not possible just to give laptops.
All right. So let's get into some other stories. Let's go on the international front. I'll do entertainment and others. Dozens killed as migrant boat capsizes off Greece. That's a very sad situation. Man faked own death and turned up at funeral in a helicopter. Now, a Belgian TikToker faked his own death to find out who cared and then turned up to his own funeral. David Burton, 45, and his wife and children decided to prank friends and family members to find out what they really thought about him.
That would be a good surprise. I think I would.
Good surprise.
No, but you will come back and realize that nobody showed up. So then what?
Anyway, drugs ring smuggled.
You are really pranking. You are pranking yourself in that instance.
I mean,
I don't think that's a good joke.
It's madness. Drugs ring smuggled cocaine and surfboards. That's in Uruguay. But let me just come to, of course, there's also talk about Italy's ex-premier, Silvio Berlusconi. He managed to bounce back from some pretty damning allegations and...
my hero.
Oh, he is, huh?
Yes. I have two heroes in this world, Silvio Berlusconi and Rupert Murdoch. And if you know...
Now, that is interesting because these are two very controversial people who also were mired in criminal activity. So how come they are mentors?
Criminal activities, as you would say, or the other person on the other side would say.
Criminal activity. Rupert Murdoch, for example.
They've never been found guilty. So look. Let me say this. Big Rupert, which is Rupert Murdoch, is my hero because of his empire that he has, the business magnate that he is, and how he's raised the family, how he's basically gotten to the point where he owns media. And I have always had the desire to own media, just that I have not basically been able to get in there. And you know that Rupert and Berlusconi, Silvio, has a similar in terms of owning media, because in Italy, Silvio Berlusconi also owns a certain media. Then Silvio has a very wide array of businesses, including football, where he owns AC Milan and all the other teams that comes along with it. So look, and he went on to be president, prime minister of the Italy. So that is why the two of them are my heroes, because I really have admired them since childhood. If you ask me to name two people I look up to, I'll name Rupert Murdoch and Silvio Berlusconi.
All right.
Minus all the bad things.
Minus all the bad things. There you go. Let's quickly wrap with the Daily Guide and get into a few more stories. Not too many from the other papers, but a few more stories, and then we shall call it a wrap. 3 children burnt to death. I was actually trying to avoid that story. It's an unpalatable one. But on the entertainment front, Grammy introduces Best African Music category, which I feel is awesome. I was forced to crown Kwame Eugene King of High Life, Amachidede. I read this yesterday and I found it rather curious. There were forces that compelled him to crown him, and of course things have not necessarily panned out that way. Avoid excessive reliance on taxes to grow, and that is the Institute for Fiscal Studies. But that horrific story. 3 school pupils have been burnt beyond recognition, oh my word, by an inferno while they were returning from school on Tuesday afternoon. The heartbreaking incident happened when a commercial bus in which the children aged between 5 and 7 years were traveling suddenly caught fire on the road. Sadly, people who live around the Adwenase to Humain Road in the Amansie Central District of the Ashanti region, where the incident happened, could not intervene. Maintenance issues, our buses and all of that. Who does maintenance? I remember once I had a horrifying incident getting into a Trotsky many years ago. I was from work at the time. I forget whether it was I think it was my left big toe. You see when you're entering a Trotsky, that portion where you step on sometimes before you finally... there was something sharp there. No idea. I stepped on it and my big toe went in there, and in a flash it came out. Kojo? So this is the big toe, right? It didn't cut this way. It cut in and out. Toenail, flesh, come and see blood. I'm sorry if I'm ruining your morning, but no maintenance of any kind.
You could have been entitled to the third-party insurance that bus carries.
Senior, you should have seen that trotro.
Oh no, it's not. You have at least had a third party.
I get your point, though.
Every trotro at least has a third party. So that incident qualified for third-party insurance, and you would have been compensated.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
But you see, the point you are making, and I think is very relevant, is that the state of our transport is appalling. We've put human face to this thing that, people have to eat. When you ban these buses, what will happen? Look, we are mortgaging human lives to certain people's indiscipline. I think if you're a transport owner and you ought to own a bus and you want to be in business, you should do the right thing. I personally want to revamp the public transport system. Everybody has played politics with it, but I think that there are a few things that I have in my books that I want to do. One, create a zonal area around the capitals where certain buses are not allowed past those areas, and then have a proper public transport system like what you have in the UK and in Europe running in the inner parts of the capitals and the capital cities of the country, so that you don't automatically ban those old ones and the old ones. They can run in the outskirts of the town to basically bring the people to a certain point, and then these proper public transport, state of the art, brings commute around the cities, and then gradually phase it out and extend the cordon and then phase out these buses. I think is the way to go. There's no negotiation on that, because we can no longer have buses killing human beings. My heart goes out to the family. The police on the road is amazing. They will stand there, and all these buses will go past them. And you're asking, what are they doing?
And when there's anything, a lot of them will just take some local fuel. I know that for a fact because I've been seeing it. Anyway, just to wrap up the conversation, just give me like 30 seconds of your thoughts. Supreme newspaper, the lights shall continue to stay on. Napo reassures Ghanaians. And then the Daily Statesman, green minerals won't be exported raw. Lands Minister assures value addition. Very, very brief, Kojo. Just go to it. What is your
when I hear them talk about lithium, when I hear talk about all these new minerals we are supposed to find, it reminds me of 2009, 2008, 2010. When we found oil in 2007, all the rhetoric that the government came up between 2008, 9, and 10 is the same rhetoric we are hearing today coming from the government when we have now found new minerals. Look, we are going to go the same way that we have done because, look, people are greedy. Okay? We don't think about the country Ghana. We think about our individual stomachs. So it doesn't matter what anybody tells me. Look, I have not seen any document that tells me that the lithium and all the new minerals are going to go any differently to what we did when we found oil.
Okay, we have to go.
Now, let me finish off with Napo saying that the lights are going to stay on. Let me assure my brother that, yes, the lights are on, but he shouldn't be too sure that they will stay on. He should sit down and solve the problem which is pending. And he knows the problem so well.
Kojo Foku Nsafwa, the man who holds the keys. You say you are in the Ashanti region now, right?
Yes, I'm in Kumasi.
All right. Where are you heading next?
I'm back to Accra. I've done all the 16 regions. Ashanti, I just have pockets of constituency chairmen that I've not met. So I'm meeting them between today and tomorrow. Then I have a family engagement on weekend, and I'm back to Accra, and I'm done.
All right. We wish you the best as you hold the keys and go around. Kojo Nsafwa Poku is a flag bearer aspirant of the New Patriotic Party. He is energy analyst or energy expert as well. He joined the conversation. Thank you, Kojo. Right before we go, this segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. We're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening as well. Locate us in Accra, Sprintex, opposite the Shell signboard. That's Kumasi Krono Mabwehian behind the Angel Educational Complex. That's Takoradi Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siama Enzema. Reach us on 0244-867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease, bringing us to the end of the news review. But just the start of sports. I nearly said Mubarak Wakaso. Well, Mubarak brings us sports up next.
Good morning. It's time for sports here on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. Let's start with the Black Stars because their head coach Chris Hughton says he can't promise a victory against Madagascar when the two teams face off on Sunday. Ghana is in need of a win to guarantee qualification to the Africa Cup of Nations to be staged in Ivory Coast early next year. With 3 days to go ahead of the big game, Hughton is not making any assurances of getting all 3 points.
Oh, as regards getting a result in Madagascar, I can't promise anything. There isn't one coach that would sit here and promise that they would get a result in the next game. Not one. The only thing I can promise you is that we will have a team that will be determined to do that. We will have a coaching staff and a head coach that is determined to do that. We know the value of a win against Madagascar. We know what that means, but we also know that we can't take them for granted. And as regards to small and easy games, there are none. Because every country is trying to improve what they have. Every country, when you look at the individual players, are now playing in better leagues. So that means the challenge is bigger. But let's say what we can promise is that we will have a team that will give everything to get the result that we want to get.
Meanwhile, members of the management committee led by Vice President of the Dafeamekpor charged the players to remain hopeful and confident in the game against Madagascar. According to him, the game is a good opportunity to seal the country's spot at the next continental showpiece. Well, Ghana will have to wait until Sunday to book their place at the tournament, but Egypt, they have already secured their qualification last night. This was after the Pharaohs came from behind to beat Guinea 2-1. The victory sees Egypt move to 12 points after 5 rounds of matches and have an unassailable lead of 9 points to the third-place team. Elsewhere, Gambia beat South Sudan 3-2 in a 5-goal thriller to keep alive their hopes of qualifying. I highlight for you. Well, to the Under-23 Africa Cup of Nations, which starts on June 24. Ghana's team, the Black Meteors, they trained for the first time last night at their Alexandria base in preparation towards the tournament. They will come up against defending champions Egypt in a friendly later today. Now, Management Committee Chairman Fred Echampon outlined the team's program for the ongoing pre-tournament. He also added that the team's main target is to qualify for the Olympics for the first time in about 20 years. Remember, Ghana is in Group A with Morocco, Guinea, and Congo. And out of the 8 teams present, only the top 3 finishers will automatically qualify for the 2024 Olympic Games. Wow, now Spain will play Italy tonight, and the winner will face Croatia in the UEFA Nations League final. That's how we wrap up sports here on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak.
Welcome back on the AM show. We get into our big stories now, our major conversation. Well, majority MPs on in Parliament have said that, guess what? The energy arrangements signed by the former administration, the power purchase agreement signed by the erstwhile Mahama administration, are tantamount to causing financial loss to the state. In fact, if you read the Daily Guide this morning, they describe the pay or take PPAs as cruel. So today, we're going to be picking their thoughts, our guests, on our hotline documentary, A Nation That Begs. We'll take it from there and discuss other facets. But guess what? We have only one guest and not guests for now, and here is why. And for a while now, this has been happening, so let's put it out there. We invited the other side, the majority side, the NPP side, and they did not provide us with a guest. I always do this, at least I've started doing that, so that if you're watching, you don't feel, oh, there's no balance on the show. It's just the minority end. We invited. No one was provided. We can't provide for that. And if this side, the NDC side, also doesn't provide, it will be the MPP person here alone, and we'll have the conversation. So Ghana 4, we'll be getting into the nitty-gritty, but let me welcome aboard Roxanne Nelson Dafeamekpor, Member of Parliament for South Dine. A very good morning to you. Dafeamekpor. Oh, but you never told me that yours was. I do. So it's not. It doesn't take the fe. It takes the fe. Yes. Dafeamekpor. I see. Yes. Why have you waited this long?
No, but I think I've done it before.
You have?
Yes, I think I've done it before. So.
Then I think I've had many an occasion to correct you and say I am not Agbeko, but good to have you on the show. Yes, good to join us this morning. Yes. So let's start from your constituency, as I always do. How is South Dine? How are you faring on the back of your approval and all of that? What's new in South Dine?
Well, I just returned, completed my thank you tour. I had to visit the branches one by one, from Germany to Agodake to Chanakwe to Klukbo to Duga, Ahon, Kaira, Ahonto, Abuichita, Chate, Golovime, Baybome, Todome, Beve, Chukuko, Bewawa Sekam, Ajokwe, O the New, Agbate, Udome, Jogbati, Blango, Chami, Aprevu, Pavetile, Jake, Anyensu, Sangachi, to show gratitude for re-endorsing me for the unprecedented term. It hasn't happened before. So I didn't break the 8, but I broke the 2. So I just went around to show gratitude to them.
Well, you did technically break the 8.
No, I broke the 2.
You broke the 2.
I don't want to synchronize with somebody else.
All right. Slogan.
So the people are happy, but we have work to do. Work to do in terms of delivering on the mandate of the people, development project. You know, we've become a welfare state. Everything that people do goes to welfare. So welfare in terms of good.
But being a welfare state technically is not a bad thing.
At all. Indeed. That is the
state provides.
That's the aspiration of every nation, that eventually you get to a stage where everything is done to the benefit of the people. And so you think of delivery on your mandate, there are good roads, so they can travel in comfort and in ease, do their business, providing them with portable water, not just water, but portable water, so they can live comfortably, seeking to improving education, health, infrastructure in the area. There are microeconomy in the district, developing the markets for them to be able to trade amongst themselves and do small businesses. So improving chieftaincy, helping the various traditional leaders to be able to also assist you in delivering on some of the development projects. So that's where we are. We have work to do.
We have work to do. Yeah. There's this quick thing, I just saw it on Joy News on Facebook about rating the Akufo-Addo-led government on a scale of 1 to 10. Even before we get into the nitty-gritty, even before we talk about the suits, the matters you've taken to court, about Agenda 111, about the economy and all of that. I've had a number of members of the ruling administration come to our show. A lot of them are giving this administration 8 out of 10. Yesterday, I had Paul Wachidankwa come into the studio, and he was saying this government was excelling in serving the needs of the people, which is why, to serve that purpose, it would have been good to have the representative here. But the person is absent, so don't blame us. How would you rate this administration?
I'll give them 3.
3 out of 10?
Yeah. 3 out of 10.
Why?
There's a high incidence of inequity in terms of delivering development projects. There's a high levels of corruption in very high places, in very high public offices. There appears to be nothing done. Let me give you an example. We just traveled last week Friday for purposes of planting trees. We've been doing this for the past, I think, 4 years under this government.
3 or so years.
Yes.
Right.
It was reintroduced by them. Professor Mo started it and it's been reintroduced. I've been asking. For instance, if you go to my constituency, the planting is done haphazardly. We get up, we plant the trees. There's no monitoring. So a speaker actually corrected everyone last week that we don't plant trees, but we plant seedlings, and I agree with him. Now, these tree seedlings are planted. Nobody tends to them. Nobody monitors to them. They are left in the wild. And so during the dry season, they are consumed by...
They become parched.
And they are consumed by fire, whenever there's bushfire. Then the year comes around, we're sinking so much millions. So I advised the minister last year when we were debating the matter. Normally he will come and present a statement, and then we debate it and have it adopted. We should be planting what we call wood lots.
Wood what?
Wood lots.
Okay.
Lots. So that, for instance, Southdown, we could say that for last year we planted 50 acres of teak mixed with mahogany and Sapele. This year we've added another 50 acres. Then we can pinpoint to the project making progress. So in 10 years, you can have a vast area of land covered in green. It can also be properly protected against bushfires during the dry seasons. You can employ more hands. The Forestry Commission can then employ more hands, especially young men and women who are graduating in environmental science and woodlot science and all that, to tend to some of these woodlots till they attain maturity. When that happens, you can also harvest them and replant. But the haphazard way that we are doing it, you can't even monitor. And yet we continue to sink so much money into it. You've heard the issues about 1D, 1F. Again, there's no proper monitoring. So companies are giving so much millions in terms of support. The companies have not sprung up. Road infrastructure. There appears to be a situation where roads are being done in some particular areas. Yes, I'm a beneficiary of one such project, but that is like a national arterial road, such a major national arterial road running through my constituency. My roads have been abandoned since January 2017. Roads that were under construction, this government came to power. It's been abandoned. I've been crying for the roads to be.
But I thought you said the last time you came here that some of the roads had seen a facelift.
No, but that's the Eastern Corridor Road. That's what I spoke about. So I don't know how people misunderstood that. I say yes, I'm happy that the Eastern Corridor Road, which was abandoned, a new contractor has been found, has been brought back, and he's working steadily. Beve is totally transformed, and I'm happy for that. But I speak of the feeders. The feeders, they are the links to the various communities. They make the community go round within the constituency. The feeders are in a very terrible state. In fact, if you look at Todome to Germany Road, which is 23.1 kilometers, the road has become so bad that now it's even very difficult to reshape it because of some boulders that have appeared on the road, because the laterite has been eaten away by erosion and constant grading. So now when the graders come, they can't even grade certain portions of the road. And the drivers are not taking it lightly with me at all. So we need to rehabilitate our roads.
What are they doing? Are they coming after you?
Yes.
But you're not an agent of development. So
yes, but
are you educating them?
Yes,
I mean, over time, are you educating them that, look, it's actually your DCE who is president in this area, or your MCE?
I think we have, if this is the Constitution, we have created a constitutional architecture that the essence of which is that it's only the MP and the president that go to the people for election, for votes. And the election cycle has become a quid pro quo affair. It's a give and take. So we vote for you, you deliver development. Then we vote for you again. So any person whose mandate, renewal of which depends on elections, ought to be responsible to deliver development. Kenya went through the cycle and they saw the wisdom. So in 2010, they did a constitutional review. Now Kenya MPs are given funds to deliver roads, to deliver school projects, to deliver hospitals. As MPs in Ghana, we are so incapacitated. So eventually, sometime down the line, there was an agreement that a small percent, 5% of the common fund be given to MPs. There's this high sense of the people regarding this money, but it's so small. If you attempt to build a 6-unit school project with this money, it takes you several years to do that, unless you look for resources from somewhere else. As we speak, the MP's portion, which is the fourth quarter of last year, first quarter of this year, second quarter of this year that are all due, but haven't been paid. Second quarter this year is not due, we're still in June. But 2 quarters, last quarter last year and first quarter this year that are all due, haven't been paid. So you want to offer grant scholarships, financial assistance to your constituency, you're unable to do so, and the letters are piled up. Even though approval has been given, you have given approval that give this person.
But the money hasn't arrived.
The money hasn't come.
And so, how does that impact some of the activities you have to do? Because I know very well, someone like, let me just get his name, the Member of Parliament for Dr. Dixon Adumakukisi.
Yes, that's
Anyanso Utum.
Yeah, my friend.
I know he does a lot of that as well.
Yes.
Helping people in school and all of that, scholarships.
Yes.
I know for a fact, because I've been to the education.
It's my friend. We serve on the same committee.
He does a lot of that. He's doing a fantastic job with that. Education, for example, and it's all from the common fund.
Yes,
that he does this. So how problematic is it when the funds meant for that do not come, do not arrive?
For instance, the assemblies have been paid their share of the common fund. The MPs haven't been paid. Is it not interesting? The assemblies have received the 4th quarter of last year, but the portion for the MPs haven't been released.
Do you know why?
I don't know. I'm struggling to appreciate it.
Have you found out? Have you asked questions?
You see, the releases come concurrently. That for the assembly and that for the MPs. Normally it comes concurrently. But for some strange reasons, the portion for the assemblies to deliver on their projects have been paid. I think the 4th quarter for last year has been paid. And the first
That's
quarter,
for the assemblies?
Yes. The first quarter for this year too has been paid. So the assemblies are not owed common fund, but the MPs are owed. So we are incapacitated in terms of delivering on that. And you see, tertiary school fees have become so expensive. So as MPs, a lot of us, including, I think I'm one of, arguably, the MP that gives the highest amount of scholarships among MPs in this country. So far, I've spent nearly 500,000 on
within your 2 terms?
Yes.
500,000?
Yes.
Within your 2 terms?
The calculation is...
On just education?
On just assisting persons pay part of their school fees. Reducing the burden. 2,000, 2,005, 3,000.
All of them from the common fund?
All of them from the common fund. And it's such a big thing in Southern. And so you are admitted to, say, Pickett Training College. Your school fees is about 3,500 or 4,000 per annum. Your parents are unable to assist you. So you come to MP, okay, I can assist halfway. So I approve that 2,000 be given. The persons have been waiting for some time now. And now the schools are also sacking. Strangely, tertiary schools don't sack. When we were in the university, you were not sacked. Your results may be withheld if you owe some school fees. Your certificates could be withheld if you owe some school fees. But to ask the person to go home? No. But now it's happening. They are treating them like secondary schools.
Which tertiary institutions are you speaking of?
I just got a call this morning that somebody says his child, his ward, who is a student in Pickett Training College, is being asked to go home because she owes school fees. All right. And so he called me this morning, virtually in tears. So I assured him that I have a show this morning. If I'm done, I'll re-engage him and we'll see what to do by tomorrow. So I want to plead with the tertiary institutions that there are so many ways that you can get the people to pay the fees. When we encounter them at Public Accounts Committee, they also try to explain that people aren't honest these days. So you give them the opportunity to go through the training with the hope that they will come back and pay up. They never show up.
They never do.
They never do.
So they also constrain.
So it's a hen and egg situation. Now, again, you look at maintenance. of these students. It's also increasingly becoming high to maintain tertiary students because of cost of living. It's gone up. And I've been hoping that the student loan regime could be structured in such a way that it could assist the students in that regard. I hear there are a lot of problems in that area as well. So you apply for the loan, it takes forever for it to be processed. Otherwise, I attended university, I benefited from the student loan. When I began working, I paid back. So we need to improve some of these regimes to assist, because education is everything. If you build a school block, it benefits one community in the constituency. But with the financial assistance, you can touch the lives of about 25, 30 tertiary students who are scattered across the constituency. And these persons will come back with their training from the tertiary level to be able to improve and impact positively on the lives of the younger ones. So myself and Dr. Adumaku Kisi. Yes,
at least I mentioned his name because I know his for a fact. Yes. Some of them may say it here, but I had got to see.
I can send you details of what I've done so far in terms of how much I've given out as scholarship. Very fantastic. Very fantastic.
I see. So the common fund. So how many quarters have not come for you? 2?
So far, 2.
2 quarters.
2. The last quarter of last year and the first quarter of this year, which have all fallen due.
How much do you get per quarter?
It depends on.
I know it's not fixed.
Yes.
How much do you get?
It depends on the total revenue.
Right.
There was even litigation regarding that.
So averagely.
Averagely, about 75,000, 80,000.
75 to 80,000.
80,000 a quarter. And that's what you must use to build, to do everything.
Interesting. So let's make tracks. Let's move on to other matters. The economy.
Yes.
Paramount. We've put out our latest Hotline documentary, A Nation That Begs. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
So Isaac Kofi-Ajay, research and data analyst here, put that together, looking at the trend of our economic life and how we've been begging, cup in hand. The interesting dynamic. We're now the topmost producer of gold on the continent.
Yes, I read that.
And beyond. We were, for a number of years,
we were behind South Africa.
No, we were behind South Africa. Then we came on top for about 2-3 years. Then we lost it, I think, in 2021, thereabouts. And now we're back as the foremost entity. On top. We are the second largest producer of cocoa across the world.
Globally.
We have lithium now. And today I read the lands minister saying green minerals won't be exported raw. This is all a lot of talk that your party has done before, and they are doing too. You remember in the 2010 thereabouts, 2012, 2014, we said similar things. I wonder sometimes what happens. Just about a year or two ago, we're the topmost producer of yam, exporter of yam. Many people don't know that. We have 3 oil wells running, functional. We have manganese, bauxite, these for your steel industry and industrialization. We have diamonds, we have timber, we have, galamsey now, but we have timber. I mean, how can we even explain where we are, having to go back to the IMF and beg for how much? $3 billion.
Yeah.
Which we could have easily secured if we had been more prudent, efficient, effective, even with one thing, just one thing. Forget all the other loopholes, corruption.
And less wicked. Thank you very much. I'll start from the angle of wickedness. We've been wicked to ourselves. In the sense that you spoke about the fact that we said we're going to process our green minerals before they are exported. I was in this country when a Ghanaian businessman lawfully got a concession from government or from the state to exploit the minerals in Nyinahini.
Mm-hmm.
The company is called Electoral. As soon as government changed hands, Electoral was challenged for supposedly not acquiring the concession lawfully, and tragically got a court to declare that grant unlawful. So
when you say tragically got a court, I'm sure you mean to say the court system delivered a verdict.
No, I said
on
tragically.
that.
Because you see, when a Ghanaian company is capable of improving the lot of fellow Ghanaians in terms of offering job opportunities, you regularize. You don't terminate and ask him to go home. You regularize the transaction and give the person the opportunity to do the business for which it was set up to do, lawfully.
But if you've already engaged in some illicit activity,
the
state has the options.
What is
no, I'm just premising it on what you're saying.
No, but that was not the case. It was the acquisition of the concession that was challenged. It was as simple as that. And it was revoked. So, and yet it's been awarded to another. And nothing is happening. That's one. Two, if you check the state of the whole airport, that's been abandoned, not put to use. Money sunk into a project that's supposed to generate revenue. People would have been employed in whole for them to work. Flights would have been flying in from other West African neighboring countries. The economy of whole would have improved, and by parity of reasoning, the economy of the country would have improved. Indeed, the analysis have been made that when flies fly into Accra, Kotoka, they refuel before they take off. Ideas have come up that the whole airport could have been turned into a flight training center in addition to a refueling center. So the flights come, they fly to Ho, they refuel, they come back, then they go.
So flights from up north,
yes,
you can stop there, refuel.
Exactly.
Continue to
this is how you
further
think,
south.
This is how you think strategically. But somebody says that the whole airport is not.
Who says?
Well, I have heard.
That who said?
Why is the whole airport not put for the purpose for which it was built? Such a commercial venture. And yet, the same government is thinking of building an airport at Cape Coast, which is nearly equidistant from Accra to Ho and Ho to Cape Coast. It's equidistant, about the same kilometers away from the capital. There's a model that's not working. And yet we want to replicate the same model that tomorrow another person to say won't work.
Which model is that?
Allowing the regional airports to function properly, bring revenue, then you can build more. We are talking about the economy. Abandoning projects. Look at Saglemi. 1,400 accommodation units. Whatever crime has been committed, can't we place people in accommodation whilst the state deals with the offenders, supposedly?
Paul Bachidanko, government spokesperson on governance and security. Yesterday, he was here on the show.
Yeah.
I brought up Saglemi as one of those crucial areas we are getting it wrong. And he said, for example, why put a housing facility in Saglemi? Look at how far away it is from the center. Hold on. I'm just telling you what he said. I'll not share my response, but why put it so far away when the thrust of workers are here in the city center, and people are struggling to get places in Tesano, Jowula, Belengbe, and others. If you wanted to serve the public, get it somewhere close. Okay. That's what he said.
Okay, thank you very much. Paul Graves is a friend, but from the comment he made about Saglemi, his location, it appears that he has very little knowledge in urban geography and urbanization. To plan, look, my brother, when you are in the air, Accra needs planning. In terms of spatial planning and residential. How
it is clear when you look at Accra and you look at Tema, you see the difference, because
Exactly.
Tema was planned.
But Accra has consumed Tema.
Yeah.
It's been consumed. So when you're in the air, you see it, but Accra has overwhelmed Tema and gone beyond. Everywhere now within the Accra conurbation is called Accra. You have suburbs. Paul Graves says what? Saglemi is far from Accra. People travel from Adan every day to come to work in Accra.
People travel from the eastern region, the western region.
So allow me to advance those arguments. People travel from Winneba to come to work every day in Accra. People actually live in Accra and travel to Winneba every day to go to work. I know a lecturer at the University of Education, Winneba. He resides in Accra. He lives at Abekala Pass. He travels to go and lecture and come back every day. Paul Graves thinks that the people who occupy Saglemi are ordinary residents in Accra, Accra. No. Put the facility out and let people come pay rent and occupy it. We were told by the defense minister that there's some arrangement for the military to go occupy it. It's been 2 years. I mean, Saglemi is rotting away. And people are sleeping in the streets of Accra. And we say the economy is not good. Now, let me give you another example. Look at the E-blocks, the number of E-blocks. And I've sued in respect of the E-blocks. Look at the number of E-blocks completed 80%, 90%, some even 100% that have been abandoned and are sitting in the wild. State resources pumped into projects like that is not be put to the use for which they were put up because of wickedness.
I don't know about wickedness, but you would think that, especially for an administration that has brought to bear free SHS,
yes,
and with capacity constraints, they would tap into that and use them.
It dovetails.
I mean, I'm just being
yes. So your point dovetails into my argument that if you're not wicked, you won't do that. Forget about the NDC government, but think of the people. Think of the people for which these projects were intended. Let the people put the project to use. And let's deal with whatever issues we think we have. So, when we speak of the economy, our attitude towards managing state property in itself is a problem. It's a problem. Projects that are supposed to generate revenue. Look, I travel nearly every week on Ashaman Akosomo Road because that's to my constituency. In 2019, we procured 259 million euros to construct that road up to the Adome Bridge. In October or sometime November 2020, the heat of the electionary campaign, the president went to cut salt on that road. It is June 2023. Go and see the traffic on that road. Money procured. And yet, meanwhile, the tenor on the grant components would have run out and will begin to pay the interest component. on the facility. Road has not been delivered.
How does all of this fit into the state of the economy? The IMF money has come, the first tranche of it, $600 million. We're expecting another, about 300 million by the close of the year. But in terms of stabilizing our currency, that has not really happened. In terms of inflation, we see it unnervingly taking another spike. What do you see when you look at the economy? What is the reality that you see from where you see?
I was going to add 1 or 2 points, then I will do that. Look at the NIA. NIA, I put out an information. NIA between 2018 and now had received in excess of 1 billion Ghana cedis to do its lawful duty of simply registering Ghanaians and let everyone of age and who is qualified get his national ID card. Now NIA is charging 280 Ghana cedis to offer a service that it has been giving public funds to undertake. And nobody appears to be speaking. How do we allow a state institution to do this to our own people? Suddenly, NIN says they won't do the normal service, but they are opening offices and they are labeling it premium offices. And they are offering premium services.
But aren't we the same people who said that we needed more centers? We needed them to be more accessible.
If you need the more center, open the more center and offer the normal service. Don't put an economic bar.
But you do know that setting up these offices comes with some logistics.
So come back to Parliament. So come back to Parliament.
So there must be a way of recouping.
So come back to Parliament. No, so come back to Parliament. Tell Parliament that you want to build additional offices, so you need more resources, and defend it. They are not opening these offices even in the districts. So in my constituency, somebody should travel from Ajebu to Ho. It cost him about in and out. It cost him about 70 cedis to do that. Then he gets to Ho, he pays 280 cedis.
So if you add on,
and then
that's 350.
Yes, and when you spell his name wrongly, because a lot of the staff do that, then you ask him to pay 110 cedis to correct the clerical errors.
So for someone who goes through that, the person would have paid 460 cedis.
Nearly, and he must feed. In all that, the person must feed. And you know the people they call is the MPs. That is why I'm so livid and I'm so angry that Professor Stefa is capable of registering the people normally. I've pleaded with him to even go around and register the people. He won't do it. He says some law. I've checked the law. The law doesn't prevent him from going around the various districts and registering the people, delivering on his mandate. He prefers to sit in situ in some office. Even that, he won't do it properly. So why must this be happening? Why should we tolerate this?
I feel your pain, because in the end, all of this comes back to you.
Yes!
The buck is passed back to you.
When the people call you,
right,
first we must look for that money, look for a vehicle, and transport them at your own cost.
But I think moving on, for your own blood pressure safety, and for your own heart health, and for your own peace of mind, I think we really, I don't know when it will come to the point where, even as we've been cogitating tweaking our constitution, recently I've heard some people talk about a new constitution, because there are some groups, I don't want to mention their names, I met one of them recently talking about a new constitution. I've always spoken about some amendments to the Constitution, retweaking it. And what else would have been the need for the enterprise in 2010, the Constitutional Review Commission, and the work it did? But I think it is high time we spelt out some of these things clearly, because I feel it is untenable the way we go about the pressures we put on legislators and all of that. I don't want to say this, but I'm sure some of you eventually get some health issues because of the sorts of pressure.
A lot of our colleagues. Look, when I was getting to Parliament, when I was in practice, I had a small gray hair here, just one. And every morning when I stand in front of the mirror before I go to court, I play with it. Now I'm grayed all over. You understand?
Anyway.
Because we don't sleep. The information keep coming, even at dead of night. People are calling you.
And if you don't respond,
you are incapable
with the people.
Yes, you are incapable.
Next thing you know, they'll be booting you up.
That's what I'm saying. You are incapable of serving them.
I have this comment coming through though. Klochu Homaka Boateng says, to be honest with you, traveling from Saglemi to work in Tema or Accra is difficult. Just imagine that barrier traffic. But I've used that strategy before. I used to work in Pram Pram. Past that sports.
It is the traffic.
Sports center. There is traffic. There is
if the road is
but with the road, the construction.
The road is under construction, at least up to the Wenya, up to I think Central University or School.
Yes.
When it's done, travel time will be so short. It may appear far, but in terms of time, it will be short.
Let's focus now on the other economic dynamics that I spelled out.
Yes.
Inflation, IMF money, the currency exchange, the state of the economy. Quick thoughts on that. I want us to make tracks and get into other matters.
Now, inflation is about 44%.
Is it?
44.
The latest increment.
I think it's 44.
I would have to check on the latest.
It was 50. It was 50.
It's 42 point something.
42. Okay.
Because it slipped to I think around 41 point something. And
yes,
now
from a high of 54.
Yes.
From a high of 54.
It hit over.
And 50. so we haven't improved. Is the level that has decreased slightly, but we have not improved. If we have an economy where the inflation rate is hovering over 40%, it means we're in crisis. Living conditions are so high. You buy something today, tomorrow it's gone up. Cement was 15 cedis, 20 cedis, 25 cedis, 30 cedis.
There was a time when I got cement for around 17 cedis. At some point it was 20-something cedis.
Now cement is over 100 cedis. And
last I checked, it was about 100 cedis.
And even depending on your distance from the production center, you buy cement 110 or 120 in this country. And the inflation rate won't save you, because if you don't buy, and cement is not something you can buy and even store. When you buy, you must use it in record time. Otherwise, it goes bad. So if you're not ready, it means the time you are ready, your resources to even buy cement to do something for yourself is gone haywire.
But let's face it. Under the NDC administration, when you were also in Parliament, there were some very difficult times.
I was in Parliament under the NDC.
You were not?
No, I was a private practitioner. I was a lawyer.
Are you saying under the John Dramani Mahama administration you were not yet a member of Parliament?
No.
Oh, so this is clearly your second term.
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense. I now get it. How did I always assume that you had been in Parliament?
It's just if you put in industry, you understand things well if you work hard.
You have a point there, though. Yes. But under the erstwhile administration, which is your party, by the way, there were some very dark times. In terms of the same currency exchange, in terms of some inflation, maybe not as bad as what we are facing now, in terms of the economic dynamics, the cost of living, fuel prices, all of that. You faced that too.
We did. But do
you have any right as a kettle that is very black to call the pot
we are not very black. We are not very black.
Both of you are black.
No, we are not black at all. They are black. We are not black. And let me tell you why. Under the NDC, you could even be approached by banks. You see them, they call them marketing officers. They'll come here and give you a loan. They can process the loan here for you without stepping a foot out to do whatever you want to do with it and repay back. Cost of loan under this regime is atrocious, because all those businesses, all those microfinance companies that were playing those key role bridging that gap, they've been collapsed. Over 445 companies. Today, isn't government borrowing money to set up what they call a development bank?
They are.
Do you have to collapse a bank to set up a bank? It's a pity. So one of the key problems we had in this economy began from that policy. Over 10,000 workers were sent home. And that will have a toll on the economy. By all means, punish companies. But don't do it in a manner that will be inimical to the greater welfare of the people in the economy. Corruption. Look at the Auditor General's report, which we keep interrogating. The incidence of siphoning public money into private ventures and pockets, it's very high. Interest, and I know you know what that is, to be given fiscal cash to go and deliver on a public service, and for you to return and account for it, public officials won't do it. They keep the money. So the leakage, so as a nation, we are hemorrhaging. Now, if we speak in respect of the energy matters.
And I was about to go there anyway.
Yes,
so if you want
the energy matters.
If you want to go there, then let me just...
Somebody claims that the agreements that we signed will amount to what? Causing financial loss.
Let me punctuate that for you so you can address all of them. So we have Samuel Atachia, for example, who's been speaking to some of these matters. Yeah. They have described...
And he's the chairman of the Energy Commission.
The power purchase agreements you signed as cruel. Just to quote the chairman of the committee, Atachia, when he addressed Parliament yesterday, he said, "When a government does not project into the future to see the dwindling fortunes of our energy, we will baptize into a crisis." And that is what we found ourselves in the Mahama era. We couldn't see that we were going to have a situation like that. Were we sleeping on the job? This got the government into an ambulance situation. That is an emergency. And this is when those who say they are coming to help us decided to foist on us some levels of contracts that we are suffering the consequences of today. He asserted.
He concluded.
Of course, yeah.
Now, let me respond to my senior Atachia that what is more cruel is for his government to vary the Ameri tenure from 5 years to 15 years. When by now, Ameri under the initial 5-year tenure agreement would have become our property.
But that was also on the back of cost constraints and how to deal with the economic arrangement that
demonstrated by whom? Because the Ameri repayment regime was regularly followed. There was no need for this government to have renegotiated that, but they did. And in the process, burdening us more. And it speaks of cruelty. It's the people who are more cruel.
So you're admitting that you were cruel, but they are crueler.
No,
is that what you're saying?
I'm not admitting. I'm saying that the people who are rather cruel to us are the people who speak of cruelty. John Mahama solved a crisis. You may not like his format, but he solved the crisis. In any case, did this government come to Parliament to say that they are renegotiating some of those PPAs? What has happened to those renegotiations? The government has nothing to hang on. So every day, they regurgitate these PPA matters. You are aware that it's been exposed that monies they claim that they paid in respect of these PPAs were actually not PPA payments.
What were they?
They were actually payments in respect of VRA losses and ECG losses.
So they paid directly to whom? The ECG and the VRA?
Yes.
Instead of the IPPs?
Exactly. Because you see, the VRA and the ECG are off-taker from these generating firms. So, Atachia and his government, he may no longer be in government though, but he's a member of the party forming the government. They have nothing to hang on. This is a government that has sunk so low in many sectors of the economy. So what they do is to rehash old points, regurgitate old points, to score cheap political points. But the people can see through. The people can see through. You are signing new agreements. Is that not correct? They are signing new PPAs. I read 2 weeks ago that they have signed a new PPA.
The reality is that if you speak to the energy people, they'll tell you that we need more IPPs on board, else we're going to fall back into doom so.
So where is this issue of cruel PPA agreements? It's just highfalutin sounding English expression.
But they have a leg to stand on, especially when you have the World Bank's country director, Pierre-Franck Laporte, corroborating what they are saying.
I think I blame my party.
You blame the NDC?
I blame my party leadership for not taking on this politician in the tie of a World Bank country director.
You're referring to Pierre Laporte?
Of course. He has no business speaking in the manner that he did.
Why do you refer to him as a politician? If
I were in a certain authoritative position within the party, we'll send him a stinker. We'll say, we were in this country.
But your party has responded to this. I don't know whether you didn't. Because there have been people, even Dr. Kwabena Donkor, the former power minister. But the point is, you have responded. You have said that he was completely misled with which. Let me just tell you the points that have been made. That he was misled by the points he made, because first off, to get a deal like that, and I've spoken to energy experts, they corroborate that. To get a deal like that, it's like going to the bank for a loan when you are hard up. You will not get certain concessions. You need it in an emergency situation. Most countries in such a situation, going for such a package, would have constraints. So that has been established. In fact, he was dared to provide other countries around the same time who had any such energy compacts, who had got much better deals than what we were given. Again, the talk was about the fact that the minority then in Parliament had approved all of these through Parliament. So those are the arguments that your party has made forcefully. I don't know about not making any arguments.
That is not the kind of response I desire.
And some have addressed him personally, though.
Yes, I thought that as a party would have addressed him in a political tone. Because clearly he has descended into the arena of conflict.
Are you suggesting the World Bank country director is now a member of the MPP or something?
I am not saying
so. Is he speaking for the MPP?
It is his words and conduct that suggest so.
So you are suggesting that he is acting like a member of the MPP? I am not saying so.
I'm saying that his conduct and words clearly suggest that. You understand? So when you are a diplomat, because World Bank country directors, they have diplomatic status, you don't do that. You can make a professional point, but you don't speak in a politically tainted, slanted manner. Has he asked the government what is the outcome of the renegotiations of these PPAs? He should respond to that. My very revered senior, Chachu Chikata, granted an interview and I think spoke about this, if you recall, on TV3. And like you are saying, Comrade Donko also spoke. But I'm saying that as a party, we needed to react to what... Look, these people, they have an interest. Take it or leave it. They have an interest in where political party lies in this country.
And that interest, you feel, determines how they're posturing?
Of course. If they feel comfortable under this government, they will speak in a manner that will favor them politically.
So, in a nutshell, you disagree vehemently with the majority's take that you were not reckless. That
we were not reckless.
In fact, that you were reckless.
We were not reckless. We were not cruel. We were not reckless. We were not cruel. So they have no point. They cannot score a political point on this matter.
Let me ask you where you find yourself, because the the energy minister has been given assurances that, let me just get the newspaper, the lights will continue to stay on. Where you are, do you have light constantly? Are you experiencing the same power outages that the rest of us are having to contend with?
I do.
How often?
Sometimes it goes off. I'm often not at home, but I have information. It goes off between 2, comes around 6, 7 in the evening, or it goes off early in the morning, around 8 o'clock, comes back around 3, 4.
So you're experiencing those as well.
Yes.
Let's quickly move away from those. We've touched on what's going on in your constituency. We've touched on a number of matters already, but I want us to look at the constitutional aspects of our conversation very quickly. One being the EC and the talk about the fact that your party is bastardizing them, bringing up accusations, allegations that hold no water. We heard recently from Dr. Siribo Kweku. Then there is the case you are pursuing in court, also tied to the Electoral Commission, when it comes to 2 people who have now been brought to bear, Doc and Dr. Apiahene, I should say, and Hajia Salima. What's the latest on that?
I haven't gone against Hajia Salima.
You haven't?
I haven't. Because I dug for the evidence. I couldn't get any.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
As in political party relations.
Connectedness.
Connected to Hajia.
Yes. The political connectedness of Hajia to the MPP.
Right.
I couldn't get any.
You couldn't find that?
I couldn't find that.
Regardless of the family ties.
There's been talk. There's been talk. But family ties is not
enough,
as grave as political ties. And that is what the spirit and letter of the Constitution frowns on. Because you see, the constitutional business of the Electoral Commission is not one of determining family matters, but it's one of determining where political party will lie at any level. So when you have somebody who is politically connected, exposed to one party vis-a-vis the other, then his being in there can strongly be suggested that he will act in a manner that will favor the political party that is connected to.
And that is a point you made against Dr. Apiahene.
Exactly.
You state that even if your party, the NDC, were to win in 2024, with his mere presence there, he would do everything to frustrate that end.
Yes.
But this is a commission that is independent, that works with a number, and he's not even the chairperson. They are all commissioners, but he's not the chairperson.
It's immaterial. He's a commissioner. He has rules. We have deputy commissioners for operations, deputy commissioners for FNA. We have such designations. We have director of elections who report to the commission or the commissioners in one capacity or the other. And so when we say that in the performance of its functions, the Electoral Commission is supposed to be independent, that independence is again hinged on the personnel who man its operations. You appreciate my point. So, a commissioner in charge of elections can say that go and open more registration centers in Joabin North, because within the meaning of the CI, the Electoral Commission can designate registration centers or voting centers, depending on the circumstances. Even though the voting centers or registration centers are supposed to be gazetted. Haven't you had situations where on election days, some voting centers won't receive voting materials until after 1 p.m.? You haven't? You haven't?
Well, there's been talk that will be dealt with. That is why the Electoral Commission is even proposing that now voting will end much earlier at around.
How are they going to do it?
Well,
they don't. You see, they are not.
They've even spoken about if the need be, they will cut down sizes of polling, stations and all of that. Spread them out further so that there are fewer people, so we can execute that.
This is a man who is in charge. This is the mindset of the man who is in charge, if there need be. So he's going to exercise his discretion within the law. And if he's politically tainted, politically exposed, he will do things to favor his political party. And remember that elections are held, public elections, that are supposed to be constitutionally supervised by the Electoral Commission, are held mainly for political parties who are primarily established to contest elections or participate in elections, plus individuals. There are only two participants in public elections: registered political parties and individual Ghanaians who are eligible to participate.
So it is clear. We have to go now.
Yes.
It is clear we're wrapping on this end of the Electoral Commission. But I just want you maybe in less than a minute to address this for me. So the NDC, from where you sit, because some of the questions you've been asking in recent times, are you going to go back to the PIAC and will you stop bastardizing the EC?
You see, this issue about bastardizing the EC,
you take them on for every
No, it's not every
reason
little
that comes up.
You don't leave.
That's what they're saying.
No, you don't leave the EC. Have you heard Dr. Sribo speak? Google Sribo spoke and damned the NDC. Dr. Bosman Ansari spoke and referred to the NDC as the most dangerous political party in this country. In fact, we are a danger to our democracy. You think that an unbiased electoral commissioner will speak in such terms?
Will you go back to
Have you listened to Sribo in respect of the new draft CI they intend to bring to Parliament?
I have.
When Parliament takes a decision, he says that as for them, as for what Parliament does, they are not concerned. As for them, where they stand is where they stand. You speak in such disconcerting terms, in a condescending tone to Parliament. When you granted your interview, I was in the village, I heard it briefly. Says that they are in touch with leadership to bring the CI in the original format. So all that we done in Parliament, all that we said, the resolution we passed.
Did you find that disrespectful?
It's not only disrespect, but a disregard for the decisions of institutions and organs of state in this country.
All right, so the point is clear. Will you join?
So let me say this: that the NDC does not engage in the business of bastardizing the East. Indeed, go and check which party has gone against the EC within the past 30 years. Go and check. Even in court, go and check. NPP versus EC. Go and check the number of cases that have been reported.
Will you rejoin the party grouping, interactivity with the EC?
Yes,
that was my other question.
Yes, we made it clear.
You've not addressed it.
We made it clear. But you see, again, you gauge the people you gauge the conduct of the people by what they say. Here is the case: the Electoral Commissioner says that what is it? PIAC? No, it's not
IPAC.
IPAC. The decisions of IPAC are not binding on them. It's merely advisory. So why waste your time in engaging in a body whose
so that means you're basically not interested in
No, I am not saying so, but I'm saying that the person whom you want to engage and so that you can do this in a collectively mutual manner says that your decisions are not binding on her or on the commission.
All right. We'll have to sew it up here. Some other time we'll get the opportunity of delving into other matters, like the National Cathedral, Agenda 111.
And that's enough.
But Member of Parliament for South Dine, Roxanne Nelson Dafeamekpor, joining us in the studio this morning for this conversation. And we're grateful, sir, that you took the time.
It's my pleasure to have you here. And good morning to my people in South Dine. Pekik Balik Pevetongo. Good morning.
All right, so that's how we cap it up. But there's still a lot coming your way on the AM show. We're going to be delving into some other dynamics on the back of our engagements with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. We're going to be looking at food safety issues, among others. Do stay with us. We'll be right back on the AM show. Welcome back on the AM show. We talk about something crucial to all of us. What is that? Food. You eat. So do I. We need that sustenance to stay alive. But what kind of food do you eat? Where do you get it from? And if I may ask, how safe is the food you consume? Do you know? Well, that is why this morning we're having a conversation on food safety, because guess what? This month, June, is Food Safety Month. But we're asking ourselves, as we go out there and get a thing or two to consume, how safe are they? Joining us for a conversation, we have Florence Kuchi. She is Metropolitan Public Health Director with the AMA. She's back in the studio with us today. A very good morning to you.
Good morning, Uncle Ben.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
You're looking fantastic.
Thank you. It's by the grace.
We thank God.
Sure.
Let's start with what you've been up to since the last time you came into the studio and what your work with us has yielded so far, even before we get into food safety issues.
Thank you, Uncle Ben. Let me take this opportunity to say good morning to all the environmental health practitioners in Ghana. Let me say a very good morning to all. I bring you greetings from my Metro Chief Executive, the first mayor of Ghana. Yeah. Joy, in collaboration with AMA Clean Ghana campaign, has really yielded a lot, both physically and non-physically. If I say physically, it means things that we can see. There were times some restaurants, hotels, drinking bars were shut down through their mode of operation that were not conforming to the AMA food safety or sanitation bylaws. And as we are speaking now, those areas has been renovated and the places are now one of the best. And even patronage has also increased. That is one bit. Then talking about the non-physical, people have also come to learn that things that they were not giving much attention to meant a lot to them. And it not talking about that, it is just fantastic. And I think it was not just a coincidence that we collaborated. It was really a good something that we did and we are still doing and will continue to do. Yeah.
Well, we thank you for the collaboration, and of course, quite a lot has been achieved.
Sure.
And we'll continue on that trajectory. But Food Safety Month, let me just put it to you, the food we consume, even in urban centers like we find ourselves right now, how safe are they? If I asked you that, what would you say?
Thank you. I would say it's 50-50. I will not say it's 100%.
50-50?
Yes, because food safety...
That is scary.
Yes, Food Safety Month, the theme for this year's food safety celebration is food standards. Food safety saves lives. Food standards saves lives. That is, food standards saves lives.
Okay.
It means there's supposed to be standards in everything that we do. Even our way of living, there are standards. Hence, food safety standards saves lives. If you are a person who is producing food and you do not go by the normal standards that you are supposed to follow and you just do it anyhow, you are killing people indirectly. Because mostly I say you are what you eat. If you eat well, you spend less on drugs, on medications. If you don't eat well, you spend more on medication. So we are what we eat. So food we eat outside let me say, it's a food chain system. The farmer, what does the farmer do? The person who goes into the farm to bring the food, how is it transported? Where bulk is being broken, how is it done? Even to the retailer, how does the retailer do? Then the consumer. You may pass all the tests, but maybe the consumer, in a way to even consume the food, might contaminate the food. So it's a long chain that everybody needs to play his or her part properly for us to have a holistic food safety to consume. Because study says that globally, about 6 million people get infected with one form of foodborne diseases. And about 420,000 people die annually through foodborne illness, which is so scary.
Last year, I suffered a terrible spate of food poisoning.
Which is so scary.
Terrible. And nowadays, I've noticed it's becoming ever more common.
Yes.
Especially for people who may, from time to time, purchase this or that outside, not from home.
Not from home. So food safety is a collaborative effort. So we say food safety, the One Health approach. Talking of food safety, the One Health approach, it means when you want to talk of food safety to be properly done, it is a triangle or a tripod system. You have the human health at the top, you have the animal, and then you have the environment. The human and the animals are interlinked. But the factors that will lead to the compromising of the food safety is in the environment. So you need to bring all the three together to ensure that the collaboration is done properly for us to have food safety.
And sometimes it goes beyond that, like we saw in the anthrax situation up north recently, where people were consuming cattle that have been infected, and that came with its own range of problems. But in terms of food safety, there are so many different dynamics. You've spoken about, we'll be getting to the theme shortly, but when it comes to our landscape, for example, those who sell on the streets in different places, you've been talking about the permits they require as you go around. How many of them actually do have these permits? When you go around, you look at a lot of them, even big, entities that are selling food, selling drinks. You don't see any such permits.
Yeah, I can tell you for sure, as for the permitting, the regulators, we are very serious on the permitting. We go around, we visit, we monitor, we ensure that anybody that is selling, when you look into our AMA Food Safety or Hygiene Act, Section 9, it talks about if you want to put for sale food to public consumption, you must first of all undergo medical screening. And if you do not have the medical certificate, you are not supposed to sell. And when we come to you and you do not have the medical certificate and you are selling, you are being taken on and processed for court.
But is that effective? There are still people who are around public lavatories and stuff selling food.
Uncle Ben, the issue is, we cannot be at the same place at all the time. And even human resources is also another thing.
We've had those discussions.
Yes,
I know.
It's
you
also,
are severely constrained.
It's also another thing. And I always say, this is just by the way talking. The feasibility of police officers by everywhere you pass does not say there is no crime. There are still crime one way or the others. So as much as the law enforcer or the regulator is trying as much as to ensure that the right thing is done, there are still some recalcitrants somewhere who are also hiding doing things. Let me tell you this thing. I'm not trying to scare anybody. We are on surveillance on people who process condo for sale. It has come to our notice that there are some chemicals that they put in the condo for it to multiply. You can go and little meal, and then when you add that in, it will expand and you get plenty. So we are on the people producing this condo.
So like a sort of yeast that will make it rise.
Like a source of yeast, but not the yeast we use in bread making and other things. So we are on surveillance. Because whenever you do it, somebody will definitely hear it and come out. And sometimes they don't even fear or feel shy. People just go their normal way to go to mill their corn, and they'll ask you, Mommy, can you imagine? They don't think that there's anything wrong in doing those things.
Is this hazardous to human health? I mean, for example, for the palm oil, those who use Sudan die-4 and all of that, it's carcinogenic. So is this hazardous to human health?
This one is now that it has come to our notice. So we are on work with the Food and Drug Authority. We are still on surveillance to identify where such things are taking place. Then samples can be taken for lab analysis to see what is going on. And the people who are into this are not going to be left safe. Talking about food safety, it's not just about the fufu or the banku that we eat. Even the meat. We are crying about illegal mining. Have we thought about the illegal slaughtering? Nobody has thought about the illegal slaughtering. When you go around
unapproved butcher areas,
go around only Accra, the number of unauthorized slaughtering for areas that people are slaughtering animals, who inspect these animals? What kind of diseases are they carrying? And they are sending all these carcasses into our markets, and we are buying. Where is it slaughtered? What kind of water has they used to clean this animal? We are not looking at all these things. When you go to the Public Health Act, 2012, Act 851, Section 109, it talks about displaying for sale wholesome meat for public consumption. Even the mode of transport is also another way. How do we transport the meat from there? Even if you send it to the rightful place to go and slaughter, and inspection has done, how do we transport it? You see people transporting meat from the slaughtering facility, the abattoir, in open vans, and people are sitting on top, lying on them. When they get there, they just carry this meat on their dirty shirt, and they go to put it down. People come to buy and go to consume. All these things need to be checked on. When you go to other side of the countries, you won't see somebody transporting meat in an open van. It is in a cold van to the cold store. It's a cold chain system.
I mean, if you go to some of the markets even, you'll see meat products and all that, and there's a fly in the sieve or something.
All over the whole thing. And the flies
by the time you go and consume it,
defecating on this. And what the flies bring out what we call larvae on it. You understand? Then the contamination starts there. Before you get them, the meat has already contaminated and color has changed. Just last 2 months, we have to close down one chalk bar within the Accra Metropolitan Assembly because they use contaminated food, meat, to prepare food for public consumption. And there were food poison. About 18 people were infected. They have to close down the place.
But speaking of which, is the AMA as vociferous? Because some people have alleged that when it comes to the chop bars or the local eating spots, you exercise your power there. But when the bigger brands, I don't want to mention them, but you know them.
Yeah, I do.
Those that have come from outside, those that are local, when those bigger branded entities fall into the same food poisoning, trap, you don't treat them that way. What is the reality?
I can tell you it is not true.
It isn't?
Myself, I've even gone to inspect an ice cream bar. And most of these ice cream vendors are being done by these the big guys you are talking about. In their storeroom where they store the raw materials for preparing the ice cream, I can tell you about 85% of all the raw products were expired.
Wow.
Yes, were expired. We have to take them out. It was a very serious issue, but we stood on our grounds. And the people were put to law, and the right thing has been done. Today, when you go there, formerly when officers go there, they won't allow you into their store. But today, when officers go there...
But how is that even possible? How can you come from another country, you're operating a renowned outfit here, and officers of the law? Yeah. Sometimes I think this country, things simply don't work. Your officials go there and they don't allow them to get into the store.
Even sometimes, you see, you are there, they feel they know people more than you. The calls they will start to make to inquire this. So what I always say is, I'm coming there to protect the public health. So far as the public health is concerned, I'm not perturbed with whatever call that you are making. When the caller returns back and wants to speak to me, I will only explain to the person at the other end that this is what I'm here to do, and this is my mandate. I am not just doing it because I'm mandated to do it by law, statutorily. So I am doing my mandate. And if I explain to you, you understand. And they will tell them, you allow them to do their work. Don't interfere. That is it. So we are working. But sometimes, people would think that people are doing, let me say, selective because this one is this or this one. That is not it. Nobody is exempted when it comes to food safety. Everybody eats. And if the food you are going to eat is being compromised, it's going to have an issue on you. When you fall sick today, It is not you alone. When you are admitted in the hospital, you are increasing workload in the hospital.
Yeah.
Medical personnel will stand on you. Even your family members who are supposed to go to work or to do something will have to prepare food and bring it to you to the hospital for you to eat. It means a lot of things are going to be cut short. And there will be, productivity will be standstill. Just one person.
And when I had my latest bout, which got me off a lot of, food in some places. I mean, it was really bad.
Yeah.
I was this close to the
God
unfortunate
forbid.
happening. No, but that is the reality.
That is the reality.
I have seen people. I have known some people whose relatives have died on the back of food poisoning.
Yeah. Yes,
it's a reality.
It is not that you are exaggerating. It is true. That is why I'm saying food safety business is everyone's business. Yeah. It's not one person's business. You, the producer, what are you producing? You, the farmer, what chemical are you using to spray on your farm product? Yeah. There are some chemicals that when you spray on the farm products, at least the chemical residuals should spend about 1 week before you can harvest that product to sell it in the market. But because of what? Economic hardship. And some nowadays, our eyes want to get things that are very succulent. Yeah. You get to the market, we are looking for very fresh and succulent.
You look at some of the leafy vegetables.
Yes, the leafy vegetables.
They pour them on them. You see them green, very nice. They are not, in fact, watermelon, one that really got me, I think about a year or two ago. Watermelon, they would just put it on it. So you buy the watermelon, it looks good on the outside, but when you cut it...
It's white. It's white. That is it. So the farmer, what are you putting there? It's your duty. The producer, what are you producing? Are you trying as much as possible to ensure that the thing you are producing to bring it out, it is done? The regulator and the enforcer. Are you ensuring the hazard analysis critical control point?
And just to add, since we're having this conversation, those who prepare the food, we already know the bit about sometimes using rotten tomatoes and onions and all of that. But now the new trend too is that for some of them, they will not even let the food cook properly. That is the problem. Because when a lot of these microbes, when you cook to a certain temperature, they die. Some of them are much more stubborn. But they will not even let the food cook properly. The least bit, they're okay with it. Why? Because of the cost of the fuel they use. Yes. Gas or firewood or charcoal. So it doesn't come on
baby.
So you eat it, and if you are unfortunate enough to be one of those people, you could end up, in fact, the next place you could end up would be a hospital and maybe the morgue if God doesn't intervene. And that is crazy.
Sometimes people will just tell me that I'm a woman and I'm not putting on woman face. So when somebody...
People tell you that?
Yes, people tells me that. When somebody refer that to me, I just look at the person and I laugh. Because if you know what I am doing for you, you will not tell me that. Just imagine you've gone to where they mill the fresh tomatoes, peppers, and others. And people are there with rotten tomatoes and pepper and onions. They are going to use it for shito. Early this month, we have to intercept a basin full of tomatoes, pepper, onions that were going to be used to prepare shito. And the woman was being sent. We sent the woman to court. We trace to the place and we have to go and confiscate everything that she has used there.
What happens to these people when you take them to court? What are the penalties? What are the fines?
So that is it. So when you take them to court, depending on the law that you use, when you use the Public Health Act, the fine is so punitive. If you contravene, you are likely to pay not less than 12,000. And if you are not able to pay, yes. If you are not able to pay, you can go to remand for 6 months. But if you are using the assembly bylaw, the highest punitive penalty is 100 penalty unit. Yes.
So I want us to quickly address these two things as we, share our thoughts on this conversation. What do you eat? Where do you get what you eat from? What do you check? What are some of the things you check before you make a purchase for what you're going to put inside? And it includes drink as well. So it's food safety, but drink is also considered that. What are you putting? What are you ingesting? What should people be looking out for when they make purchases? let's say the environment, for example, the type of food, when you see the food and it looks this way or that way, just walk us through what basic things people should look out for.
Okay, first of all, when you are going to the market to purchase your food items, you get to the market and you see somebody display for sale the food items on the ground. Even if the person spreads something and display, please don't buy that food.
There's a market for no.
They are not there.
The plantain, the yam, they are always on the. Some are on tables, but most of them are on the.
Because in AMA we have taken them through a lot of training. We are telling them to root and display 3 inches below ground. So when we come and then you have displayed and then it is on the ground, action is being taken against you. So when you go to the market, don't buy food that is being displayed on the ground. When you go to the market, look at the appearance of, let me say you are going to buy tomatoes and you've realized that the tomato has, it is rotten or it has changed color. Some molds are growing on the tomatoes. Please, there's some compromise of bacterial growth in the tomato. Don't buy.
I hear that is also carcinogenic or something.
Don't buy. Yes. If you are going to buy maize and then you see that the maize have grown some molds on them, we are talking about aflatoxin. And we all know that aflatoxin is something that is very poisonous when it enters into our system. You don't buy. Please, when you are going to buy food, ensure that you buy food that is displayed on a table, a well-laid table. A well-laid table.
Okay. So those are some of the things.
These are some of the things.
Let's say you go to a restaurant, very quickly. We have just about some 4 minutes to go. But sometimes you go into a place that you would deem, oh, this place is safe. The place looks nice and all of that. But you might spot a few things. You go to a few places. I've spotted cockroaches, for example, in a few places before, and prompted establishment that, look, you can't have a facility like this and have these creepy crawlers dancing all over, the place. What other things should we look out for?
So when you go to the restaurant, we always give them, that is where the hardship comes in, hazard analysis critical control point, which include disinfection and pest control. You must have your pest control or disinfection timetable at least every month, since it's a food production entity, every month, because cockroaches and other things grows at where there is food. So you need to do disinfection every day. And when you do the disinfection, you don't just do it by yourself. You either engage the assembly or a certified disinfectant, disinfection company that will come to do this for you. That is what we do. So you must disinfect your restaurant monthly. That is one of the things. And then also, talking about food, it's not just only the food. Look at the people hawking with the medicines in town.
As for those ones, that's a whole conversation on its own.
So AMA, we have started arresting them. We arrest you, we confiscate it, we prosecute you, we don't give it back to you.
What I find even more worrying, a lot of them claiming they have, and me, I have never patronized, I will never patronize, because I sometimes shudder at how people can risk their lives.
That is the thing.
You go and buy this thing, you don't know what the contents are, they tell you this and that, you go and use them. And a lot of people, I'm not so surprised that a lot of people are having fertility issues, impotence and all of that, because I know a lot of them sell purported aphrodisiacs and all of that. People use them without trusting them, and before you realize...
They don't have knowledge about the drug they are selling. It is not every drug that is good for everybody. Because when you go to the hospital, before a physician will prescribe medicine for you, they will check for your health history and know that this is good for you, this is not good for you. But you go and stand in the, let me say, the lorry station or in the car, and then just imagine the sun that is even scorching on this drug. And then they send it back, the following morning it is there. And we are not going to allow it again. We have started.
So are you saying that people should not patronize these? They have no permit?
They have no permit. They have no idea about the kind of medicines they are selling. They go there, they just go to lie that they are sending it to a community chemist and then end up putting them in a transparent bags and they are selling. People should not patronize such medications. They are causing a lot of issues, health issues in the country.
Ghana for Samwate Mwasum Okotoa Wawujejiji. You've heard it from here. If you go and patronize them and something happens to you, it's your life. your security first. But to wrap up the conversation, so you say the theme for this Food Safety Month is Food Standards Save Lives. Food Standards Save Lives.
Yeah.
What are the standards you're going to implement or enforce to protect us all? That'll be the final bit.
So when you are talking of food standards, that is where the One Health concept comes in. Food standards, we know it is done by Food and Drug Authority and Ghana Standard Board. But before you even go to the Food and Drug Authority for standardization of your food product, the first thing they will ask you to do is go to the assembly and go and have yourself screened medically. And then where you are producing the food is being inspected and report is written from the assembly given to you in addition to your medical certificate, then you send it for your standardization. So that is we are the baseline. You need to get this baseline equipment before or you go for any standardization. So the collaboration there is there. Communication collaboration is very, very key when it comes to food safety.
Florence Nagode.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. I have a comment for you. Ruben Brian Barfor says, keep up the good work. Mom, you're doing a good job indeed for Ghana. I'm watching you from WA. Don't show a human face. Do the good work you're doing. That's a message that has come through.
Thank you.
Florence Kuchi is Metropolitan Public Health Director, and she joined us this morning for a conversation. Welcome back on the AM show. It's all about the World Evangelism and Missions. Be led for Christ. And to tell us more about this organization and the latest that they've been up to, we have evangelist Kwabena Asenso Otri. Thanks for coming, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're looking good in your Be Led for Christ.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sporting it.
Sporting it. Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
But tell us a bit about the organization itself. Before we talk about this phase, what is Be Led for Christ? What is it all about?
Be Led for Christ is essentially a youth movement. Focused on Christ Jesus, bringing the gospel to the youth and beyond. So we look to evangelize, we look to bring learning, we look to bring innovation, we look to bring the wellness and the holistic development of the person. But our focus is mainly on the youth, and we believe that from the in and outs of there, we'll be able to impact the community. So we use the gospel and we use different means to try to reach the youth and to impact the community. Yes.
So tell me about this latest phase of the work that you are doing. What have you been up to? You've been up to quite a lot in recent times. What is the latest?
By God's grace, a lot of prayer and just working to build a team out. We were here a few months ago working to put together the program in Cape Coast, the central region. This time around, we have been in Western region. Very successful program. Secondary College hosted us, and we had about 9 schools to be exact and precise that were in participation. We are going to Presec, Legon tomorrow, as a matter of fact, and we have about 10 schools participating in the Greater Accra region session as well. It's going to be phenomenal. We have several schools participating with us to have a good time, hear the gospel, hear the word of God, and we're using sports as a vehicle to bring the word of God and to win souls for transformation.
Now, this latest phase of the world evangelism, you're talking about Presec, Legon, and all of that, but what is the target grouping? You say the youth, but what is the target grouping even among the youth?
So within the youth, so we don't necessarily discriminate, but it's a great question. So our focus is obviously the school system because we believe that with that institution, you have the learning environment, and we stand hugely for learning and innovation. So the lead in it stands for learning, evangelism, and discipleship. So it's a big focus for us to target all youth, but we're using the learning institution. We certainly are also interested in youth who are not in school equally, but we mainly focus with the learning institutions because we believe that that's where that learning environment is, and we can make impact with the gospel through that.
Just a curious thought.
Yeah.
You're targeting Christians,
yes,
young Christians, but how about those who may not even be Christian?
Yes, absolutely.
Can they participate in these events? Can they draw closer? What is the move?
Benjamin, so great question. Our target is all the youth, to be honest, right? We We want to win all for Christ. So we don't necessarily target only Christians. We truly even want to target non-Christians so that they can come into this realization, this revelation of the goodness of Christ. So yes, absolutely, all are welcome. All youth are welcome. Bring them, bring one, bring all. And let's socialize, let's have a good time. We're using sports this time, and speaking of sports, it falls under our wellness umbrella. So we have what we call I Will Transform, and our acronym WILL stands for Wellness, Innovation, Learning, and Leadership. So the wellness does cover the sports. It also covers a little bit around hygiene and things that we can resource and bring to the youth that will help them together. And also in health aspects, we believe that even with aspects of folks who are going through high blood pressure and all these kind of things, we want to be able to resource these under our wellness umbrella, and obviously innovation, learning, and leadership. So wherever we can bring faith in to our youth, we're trying to do that. To bring transformation. Yeah.
So let's talk about the experience. Recently you were in the Western region.
Yes.
Takoradi to be specific.
Correct.
Give us a recap of what you were up to there, what happened, and what we can expect as you head to the Greater Accra region, Accra to be specific.
Yes, thank you. So Western region was phenomenal. We were well received. Secondary college.
Tardy vibes.
Oh my goodness, they are some Christ lovers out there, and by the way, some very competitive teams as well. So Secondary College hosted us, and in a 3-day event, Friday morning we started off with the praise and worship. Atmosphere was set, charged, and they were so eager to hear the word of God. We did that same thing on Saturday. So we do the preaching, the teachings, and then a bit of leadership, and then we move into the sports in this 3-day yearly phenomenon that we do. So Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday we crown it with the awards. So Secondary College won. It was amazing, highly electrifying time. But yes, many gave their lives to Christ, and we also took a lot of contacts that we are following up and also transition into the local communities, churches, men and women of God, because we are big.
So in other words, you get to know what their situation is, you prep them, and hand them over to the local church community.
Essentially. Wow. Essentially. We believe that charity begins at home, and just knowing that there is institutions, there are organizations, there are ministries, there are people who stand for that cause. We partner with them, and then through that we're able to keep that transformation alive, because it's a lifelong journey for all of us.
Why would you say it is important to hold such events like this World Evangelism Mission Day that you've brought to bear? This latest one you've dubbed it, you say, Faith and Wellness, Innovation, Learning and Leadership.
That's right.
Like you made mention of. Why is it important, especially in these times, for us to have such events?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we believe that today's youth are tomorrow's leaders, and the good that we will see in them today is what's going to be expressed tomorrow. So we're looking to invest in them now. There's a lot going on. Social media, you can imagine a lot of youth suffering in silence. A lot of times when you see them loud on social media, it's also a good prompting to find out what's going on behind the scenes. And so we're trying to find avenues to reach them, and to reach them at the point of their need. Everyone is unique in their own way. And we believe that obviously the gospel to somebody is truly the word of God, which it is. But the gospel for another person is a bite that you'll give them. For somebody, it's playing basketball. For somebody, it's just shaking their hands, smiling at them. So we are really trying to be sensitive to the uniqueness of the dynamics of the youth of today. Obviously, our time, things have changed. So we're trying our best to keep up with the times. But the gospel is always the gospel, and so it's our foundation. But we're looking for innovative ways, but as much as possible, faith through the wellness, innovation, learning, and leadership is our focus point, and transformation thereafter. So the 3-day program is an open door into the institutions, and then we look to partner and build that relationship so that from time to time we can come in, resource, and then continue to it's a short time, 3 years they're there, and there's the track system. Sometimes they're in, sometimes they're out. So we're doing the best we can with the partnerships that we have.
Before you walk us through the program, what will happen on those 3 days, when, and at the details. Are there any organizations you're partnering with to make this happen that you'd like to maybe salute at this point?
Yeah, no, there are several organizations. A lot of times they say, we don't let the left hand know the right hand is doing. They want their blessings. They don't want to, so a lot of times that's kind of what we do. But we do have organizations that are partnering with us through the discipleship. We have organizations and ministries and ministers who are partnering with us. Here, in every location that we go to, our main focus is to connect with the locals in there. So everywhere we go, we have a team and we have partners that we work with. And so all together, just to keep us all nameless, so to speak, yes, several organizations and people that together, it takes a village to raise a child. So we have several of those that are involved, and we give them the credits as well. We also have a website, so you can actually look at it also. That's where we usually put that information, just to ensure that they're kept in that scope.
So World Evangelism Mission, the trainers coming to the Greater Accra region.
That's correct.
Presec Legon, 16th to the 18th of the month. That's tomorrow till Sunday.
Yes.
What are the times? How do people connect? Tell us more.
So yes, it's tomorrow. We are set to go 9 a.m. specifically. We are Presec Legon, and all these schools are going to be joining us. We'll be doing the faith aspect of it till about 12. Take a short break, do a little bit of feeding, giving those who are participating something, a small bite to build some energy and capacity for the games that will pick up around 1 to about 5. And we're actually considering, just because of logistics, making a 2-day program so that we can actually do the awards at the end of the day, Saturday. So stay tuned to that. Typically, we will do the awards on Sunday. We found it expedient to reserve the Sunday for the host school so that we give the participating schools a break. So we're learning, we're innovating, we're process improving, so bear with us, but it's all in good fun and in good faith.
All right, so the schools that are participating, I know Presec Legon will be there,
Achimota will be
Senior
there.
High will be there.
Yes.
There are also what?
Yes.
Tema Secondary will be there.
Right.
Thomas Aquinas will be there.
Accra High.
Presec Osu will be there.
That's correct.
Accra Wesley Girls, Accra High School, Accra Girls.
That's
well.
right. That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
Okay.
So a cross section. We're not counting anyone out, but this is our maiden here in Greater Accra, and we're looking forward to connecting further and also into other regions. So a lot of exciting things coming, and we're excited about what the Lord is doing.
We're excited for you too.
Thank you.
As you go out there and, like the sower, spread the seed.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
And we wish you the very best on this drive. Evangelist Kwabena Sensowatri and his organization, leading the Be Led for Christ organization. They're having that activity tomorrow all the way to Saturday. On Sunday, like he said, they're reserving it for the pre-seconds, the Odadiers, as far as that is concerned. But you can also join them. You're free to do so. We take a breather here again, and when we return, we're going to be hearing from you. Yes, you. The show is all about you. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the various discussions we have had here this morning. So stick and stay and get ready. Do you have your phone yet? 0302-211-691. Right after the break, give us a buzz. Let's know what's on your mind. We'll be right back. Now we're back, and thank you for staying with us. It's time for you to have your say on the show, and you know the number, 0302-211-691. But I had a drink, a sip of water, not right when I went off, before that, and I had Awake purified drinking water. It is purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. And we've just been talking health, what you eat, what you drink. So buy something whose process you can guarantee, else you'd be purchasing something that would eventually or could kill you. Now, for Awake purified drinking water, they come in different sizes, whatever you're looking for. For the kids, 330, 500 ml. For adults, if you want, 750 ml, 1.5 liters, and even more. Now, if you're looking out for something for your office or for your home, obviously you want some of those big jars. They have something just apt for you, 19-liter bottles. that are apt for your office or for your home. So all you must do now is just stay awake with Awake Purified Drinking Water. Here's the heartwarming bit for me. For every purchase you make, every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. Now, isn't that heartwarming? So that those who cannot afford treatment through your Nokofio, they can get that treatment for heart ailments, among others. It's another quality product by Casapreco Company Limited. If you want to purchase in bulk, just call this number 0262 351 251. This advert is FDA approved. Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority also announces for the information of the general public, especially importers, that with the passage of the VAT Amendment Act 2022, Act 1082, all importers who qualify to register for VAT and have failed to do so will from Tuesday, June the 6th, 2023, be charged an additional 12.5% on the customs value of taxable goods they import. The upfront payment is charged at importation on taxable goods imported in commercial quantities with a value of 200,000 Ghana cedis and above. Do note, the upfront tax is not a new tax. It is a compliance tool to encourage persons required to register for VAT to register and file tax returns in order to bring parity in the administration of VAT. Now, an importer who makes the upfront payment may be allowed to recover the amount when they register and file their VAT returns, as stated in Act 1082. We therefore entreat all importers who qualify to register to do so. Well, we'll cap it off there and get to the call board. We have Pius on the line. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ben.
Pius, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Singani.
Okay. What's your take this morning?
Okay, I have two things.
All right.
First, the interview with the MP. First, I would like to ask NPP one question.
You would like to ask the NDC one question?
The NPP one question.
Okay.
If they will be able to answer that question for me.
Right.
Why were they voted into power? It seems they don't know. I sometimes find it hard to believe whenever there's a problem, they like to shift the blame backwards. Because NDC was not doing well. They were doing things that Ghanaians we don't like. He said, okay, let's push NDC out and vote you into power. But when you do something and there's a mistake in it, you refer us back to NPP. So that means you are not capable of running the country. We have to sack you out and find another person. It's very simple. Okay. Secondly, to the health, is he from AMA or where?
Florence Kuchi, yes.
Yes. You know, sometimes I find it difficult to understand if there are these people in this country, these health people. Because what are they doing? They wait until we drink expired goods, we taking toxic things, then they come out.
Let me just say this though. Let's not mix the issues up. This is the Metropolitan Public Health Directorate. They are with the AMA. There is food safety. There's the FDA, the Food and Drugs Authority. There's the Ghana Standards Authority. They do the different range of work. As for these ones, they are merely on the ground within the municipality or the metropolis to ensure some compliance. I hope you get the distinction.
They work together. They work together. This is public health and FDA. This is public health. It means they work together. So it is. Are they not in Accra there? Why they don't take buses or what? Sometimes you'll be in the bus and you see somebody will come and he will be selling drugs that have to be prescribed by a physician or whoever. But they will be in the bus selling them. And they'll be telling you all sorts of things. When you ask them, they'll tell you matter. They will tell you that. So please, these two people have to sit up and do their work well. Both the NPP and the health people, they have to do their work well. Thank you, Bernard.
Thank you. He's saying both the MPP and these health officials, those who take care of what we consume, have to do their work better. Let me just let you in on this as well. Maybe you may not have watched that edition, but Florence Kuchi and her team are heavily constrained in terms of human resource, in terms of logistics, sometimes to process people for court, a public duty. They have to use their own money, which they may never get back. So those are some of the real constraints they face. If they had the numbers, I'm sure they would be doing better. We have Kofi from Santa Maria calling. Hello, Kofi.
My brother, how are you?
I'm well, sir. How about you?
I'm also fine. This is my first time of calling your station.
It's good to hear from you.
God richly bless you for the good work you are doing for Mother Ghana.
Thank you, sir.
You know something? The way some of us see Ghana now, we need to go for overhauling. Yeah. There should be dialogue from constituency to regional to national level. There should be some kind of dialogue overhauling so that everybody will bring his idea to the table. The way things are going now, we don't know who is in control. We don't know where we are going. Everything has gone down. Private sector is completely off. Those who are not government workers, right now, all their jobs, what they do, has gone down. Every evening or every dawn, you see these women carrying their dagba and go and buy food stuff to come and sell before they feed their family. This government, they should just hands up and tell us that, in fact, let us come together and dialogue so that we do a kind of national overhauling. Let's overhaul those who can do the work and those who cannot do the work. Because we are suffering as if human beings are not in control. Mr. Gapo, surprising. It is as if this country, the center board cannot hold again. When we go to market today, everybody is doing his own thing. Now, one stick of corn is 4 cedis. Why? Does Ukraine or COVID affect corn, only one stick, 4 cedis. Why? Our learned people, they call them professor this, engineer this, some are first master degree holder 1, 2, 3, 4. And yet, we are suffering.
Thank you, Kofi, for sharing your thoughts. And I feel your pain. Around Abelinkpe yesterday, around the fire service, I bought a cob of fresh corn for 4 cedis. It's 4 cedis and 5 cedis. So yes, you are right. Just a stick of it going for that much. Nowadays, if you try purchasing a coconut, last time I purchased one, I was almost surprised. Then I realized, oh, what are you thinking? It was going for 5 cedis. And I nearly protested that I remembered the times we were in. Anyway, we still have maybe a minute or two to squeeze in a few more thoughts if you're minded to call. All right. So we have David, the one who slew Goliath, on the line. Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Accra.
From?
Accra.
All right. What are your thoughts for us? You are our final caller.
Yeah, my take is on the food safety bit. I think the various institutions should come together as a whole so that there will be a massive public education on food safety issues in Accra. For instance, just yesterday, I went to buy food from what we know as Choba, and I've been running since last night.
Wow.
So, yeah,
wait, yesterday you purchased food at a Choba and your tummy has been running till today?
Yes, I've been running and I have to go to the hospital for medication.
So you've been to the hospital now?
Yeah, I've been to the hospital.
Thank God for that.
So these are things that we are experiencing. So if there should be a massive public education, the FDA coming together, other food safety institutions coming together to do a one-day public education, so that people will be aware of some of these things that happen, the value chain, the handling of meat, the handling of food items from the farm gate to the industry, so that people will be abreast with some of these safety issues. Otherwise, we will all, sorry to say, die in the country, because one way or the other, we buy food from outside. We buy certain things from outside. We can't manufacture everything in our home. So this is a very important issue that must be discussed broadly so that even the grassroots, those that they are in the rural areas, other places, they will be aware.
Okay.
So that we will save lives.
Thank you so much. You are our final caller. We appreciate all of you who took the time to call. It's not a right. You can decide not to, but we appreciate it when you use your credits to call us and share those pertinent issues. Let me just send this shout. It came to me, I admit, some 2 days ago. So belated happy birthday wishes to Papa Yao Ochre Eyifa of Gold Key Properties. Papa Yao Ochre Eyifa, Gold Key Properties. Wishing you the Lord's blessings, and it's from Manuela and the squad. They pray for God's blessings for you, and I also pray for God's blessings for all of you who do the watching, and for those of you who don't even do the watching. I pray for Ghana, and I pray that we'll experience better times. My name is Benjamin Akako. Thank you for allowing me to come into your home, onto your electronic gadget. And special thanks as well to my crew. I don't do this enough. Derek Ekosam, my producer, you saw him yesterday on the show. Patrick Gomez Otulate. Dennis, we all call him Quaver. Linda, and the entire crew. And our fan boy who takes very good care of his hair as well. In 10 years, we'll see what happens to that hair. From us to you, we love you. Stay with us on this network because up next, Joy News Desk.